What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast. It's another fine Saturday here, and we are at Bitcast episode 140, and we have one hell of a week of gaming news, so it's going to be a fun one. I hope everyone tunes in. If you're listening to this later, thank you, of course. But first, I need to shout out to my partner in crime, Mr. Craig himself. What's going on, sir?
Not much. Did we actually start on time? Or we were like 1 minute late?
Within a minute, yeah.
Hey, you know what? Today. It's a hell of a day.
Yeah, the rest is cherry on top from here.
Yeah, man. Right. All right, get the outro ready.
We're done, guys. That was
that was it. It's over. It's over. But we gotta at least get Pong's, gaming history out of the way, and then we're good.
Yeah. We'll just introduce everyone to Pong and be like, all right,
nothing actually happened this week. We're good to go.
At least get me in there, please.
Leo's already calling you fork in chat, Dan. I think you need to nip this in the bud.
I really do, because we talked about it on a show, and it was spork, but I think I'm going to go with Fapoon, from the Key and Peele skit. That's really the way to go. So
I like Fapoon.
I'm getting spook. I don't even know. I like Fapoon. If I'm going to go with something, we might as well just, go off the charts.
Yeah, that's all right. You're a 7-rated Fapoon. We got it.
Thanks.
Best Fapoon in my book, man. Hey.
The only Fapoon in your book.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
You don't want too many of those.
Joining us, I know all of our chat and the community's familiar with him, but joining us for the first time on Bitcast is Mr. PongSoul. What's happening, man?
Oh, man. Like I was telling you before show, man, another podcast bucket list checked off here. Yes. Getting on with you guys. This is awesome. Love what you guys do here at Season Gaming. So this is incredible. Thank you again for the invite. I appreciate you guys so much for letting me be a part of this. It's been a crazy run in 2021. All the beautiful people in chat. Awesome to see you all. I've hung out with almost all of you at some point in some chat somewhere, since that's what I started out in 2020 doing. So this has been a crazy ride, but glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, definitely. So, we talked about it before, and I know our audience knows, but because it's your first time on Bitcast, we like to talk just briefly about your gaming history, what got you into it. Fapoon boy gaming. Damn it, Dan, you threw me all off track. But yeah, Pong. So I know obviously you are seasoned gaming like us. You've been around. I know we've talked a little bit personally about kind of your gaming history and whatnot. But really quick, why don't you kind of get us or walk us through what got you into gaming initially and the journey to this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of my earliest memories, my most vivid memories, everybody's got a different point in their life that they remember from, but mine go back to probably age 4 or 5, playing with my grandpa and my dad on a 12-inch black and white TV.
Yes.
Pong, the original Pong with paddles, hence part of my name. So,
which is still a great game. I played that a couple years ago, and it's the nuance to moving those paddles and playing someone one-on-one is still competitive. It's crazy.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Of course. I actually want that new one-up table that they came out, that Pong table. It's gorgeous. It starts way back then, and gaming has been a part of my life ever since then. I've never had a time where I haven't had gaming at in some level or fashion. From there, it just, arcades, my parents were divorced. So, weekends with dad, he always took you somewhere fun. So it was either grandparents' house or, to the arcades or something like that. So tons of memories there. Atari 2600 came into my life and probably changed everything at that point, obviously, because then I was at a little bit older age and obviously I've got fantastic memories from Atari 2600 days. So, I still remember the feel of the joystick and everything in my hand. So, it's one of those things that just hang on. And then just up through the years, obviously Nintendo, I've always been mostly a console player. I dabbled in PC at a very young age. When PCs were still big, the Apple II GS, which was one of the last Apple computers to make it. My parents spent a fortune getting me that, and then it collapsed. And so my stepdad forever hated computers at that point. All this money and it became obsolete. But we had games on there, that I played. Might Magic 2, Ultima.
Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. That probably got my real. Nintendo did too, obviously with Dragon Warriors and the original Final Fantasies. So RPG love started there,
nice.
and just grew. Sega Genesis, all the way through Segas, the PlayStations. I outgrew Nintendo and Super Nintendo days. That was probably my last Nintendo console.
Okay.
Still massive respect for them and what they do. It's just. I just lost interest in their games. I just never really found it back again. So here we are today. And
nice, man.
Went through. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation about Nintendo we don't have to get into now, but I know that a lot of us that are at this point, you either have this, it seems like the community seems to either be, you still adore Nintendo. And you kind of in that middle where you don't play it as much, but you love the nostalgia, which is kind of me. And then to your point, other people have there's so many games now that the Nintendo games themselves just don't appeal anymore. So, right. But that's interesting. So with that history, then obviously sometimes it's hard, but what's your favorite, if you had to pick a console all time?
That was easy for me, actually. Dreamcast will always be. Yeah, Sega for life.
We have had a lot of people, Dan, who have said Dreamcast.
Yeah, because it's in the pre-show, questionnaire when you get people on for the game.
It's not my favorite.
Your favorite console, and because there's no other answer. That's basically what it says. Yeah. I've seen it. It's in the docs.
It's not my favorite console of all time, though. So how could that be?
Because it's Sega. That's
fair.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. I mean, that automatically makes it better, but
yeah. I mean, I'm love Sega. I love the Dreamcast, man.
I was gonna say you're gonna start talking about Sega. We're gonna have to take this offline.
Run it again.
Yeah, there's just something about that system. I think anybody who touched it or played it, I don't think I've ever met anybody who absolutely said I hated the Dreamcast, no matter where they come from or what they play now. I think it's just one of those timeless consoles, and that's why it's probably a favorite of a lot of people, because anybody who touched it it was ahead of its time. I mean, it was the first time I had ever played online on a console. I was playing against people on the East Coast, in NBA 2K. I mean, it was crazy on dial-up, just hoping we got 3 quarters done before we lost connection. But the games that came out on it was the heyday. Yeah. With Power Stone and Shenmue and all these great games that Sega was still pumping out back then, and Capcom was pumping out, and it was fantastic system, plugging in all 4 controllers in the front. I mean, it was just beautiful. The extended cords, the VMU. I mean,
yeah, it's all true. It's all true. Yeah, man, it was something else. So, do you have a favorite series all time?
I saw this question on here. It's impossible. This is especially for us older gamers. Let's break it down by genre, and then probably even have sub levels to that genre. It's so impossible. Give us just to name a couple. Red Dead Redemption 1. The Last of Us, the first one. Elder Scrolls series, BioShock, Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect 1, of course.
Yes, Mass Effect 1, of course. Yeah. That's what got me on here. I know it was. That's why I mentioned it.
We got Dan outnumbered. We got him cornered.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is anything new.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Classic.
There's so many that have stuck with me through the years. That's why it's near impossible to get it down to just 1 or even 2. I mean,
it's actually funny you mentioned Knights of the Old Republic, because one of the things I've often said is that Mass Effect 1, when it came out, kind of felt like that new generation Knights of the Old Republic. It was very similar in the conversational aspects and the combat and everything. And, that's just what makes it the best in the trilogy. But that is what it is. So we'll be talking more about Mass Effect here in a little bit. But let's okay, cool, man. So I think you're in good hands. A lot of those franchises, I would say Dan and I share probably same feelings for, especially BioShock, the original Last of Us, etc. So amazing. Let's start with Battlefield 6, man. So Battlefield 6 started to kind of get some press this week, more rumors than anything, but there was some news out of an EA investor call, which basically confirmed what we kind of already knew, and that's Battlefield 6 is coming this holiday. It's expected to be fully optimized for next gen, and some of the rumors swirling around this are that it may be PC and next gen only. That's kind of what we heard early this week. I don't know where I am on that. We can touch on your guys' thoughts in a second, because it just seems with the with the shortages right now, which are going to continue into the year, it seems like they'd be leaving off a hell of a huge install base to make it next gen only. But we know that DICE with Battlefield always kind of pushes those boundaries. And if anyone remembers Battlefield 3 on the 360 and PS3, it was a really kind of low budget port compared to the PC version. So we'll come back to that. The rumor is 128 player battles, so 64 v 64, going back to a focus on all-out warfare was their quote. So again, what we know about this is should be near future, meaning kind of present day, but I would assume maybe some more advanced weaponry or gadgets or something like that. Who knows? But I think there's a lot of people that are ready to return to Battlefield present day, like Battlefield 4 and 3 for that regard. But anyway, guys, yeah, I'm pumped about this. The only thing I'm kind of annoyed about is that because Halo didn't release last fall like it was supposed to, this now means we're going to get a new Halo and new Battlefield in the same year. And those are two multiplayer games that I literally throw myself at for hundreds and hundreds of hours. So that's going to be an interesting, not that I'm complaining about having more games to play, but still. So what do you guys think about this, man? Do you think, one, that this will be published on Xbox One and PS4s, or you think they're going to keep it to, the new consoles and PC only? And if you had kind of your wish list for Battlefield, what would you like to see out of these? So, Pong, I'll start with you, man.
Huge Battlefield fan. If I had to choose, between a lot of the first-person shooters, Battlefield would be up there. So this is huge for me to finally get back to where they really excelled at originally. The bad companies, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, even after they fixed it. I mean, I know it was kind of a mess when it launched, but
it sure was. People forget that, how bad it was.
Yeah, it was. But it was still a great time. There's something about Battlefield, trying Call of Duty's, new mode. I forget even what it's called, but they kind of, brought in the vehicles and stuff. What is it?
Warzone?
Yeah, it was a Warzone, not Warzone. The other one inside the regular multiplayer. I can't remember the name of it now. They've got a mode with vehicles too. But the maps are, not Warzone level maps, but they're small. But they tried that Battlefield. It just doesn't have the same feel. No, Battlefield is very unique in that aspect. So I am super excited about this. As far as the next gen and PC only kind of version, I don't know how they do it, giving up that big of a player base that is still going to be, like you said, with these shortages on the consoles. And hopefully by that point, they're all available. But still, they're not going to be people's hands, per se, in the numbers that we see on PS4 and Xbox One. I don't know how they're going to keep it alive without having that base, especially, again, like you just already said, going up against Halo. There's going to be a new Call of Duty out probably at that point.
Yep, already confirmed.
Yeah, so to try to have a good player base with, if they're going to go to 128 players, which I'm all for, man, bring on the chaos. That riding into battle, right? Helicopters, tanks, 64 on 64. God, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it right now. But for them to be able to keep those servers full, I think they have to, have a gen, last gen version available to play. Now, what it's going to look like or what performance is, who knows? I mean, Frostbite has been great. I mean, we can complain about Frostbite being used in other games, and we know it's been shoved down some devs' throats by EA. But the Frostbite engine, there's one thing you can't say, especially pop in Battlefield 5 right now if you haven't. Just with what they did with just they didn't even optimize it, but they just kind of up the graphics and it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
It is. So there's no denying, and I can't wait to see Frostbite 4 because I mean I can only I saw the little demo reel that they did, the tech reel that they did.
Yeah.
And if that's any indication, we are in for a world of fun. So to answer the first question, no, I don't. I think they have to release a version on the old gen just to keep it alive. I don't know what it's going to look like or what shape it's going to be in, but I think they have to try to keep it going.
Yeah.
And then as far as the rest goes, again, bring on all the chaos, bring on all different modes that they possibly can, but bring that big battle feel back and modernized, bringing it back to Modern Warfare style. If they can get back to the old feels again of the Battlefield Company 2s and the Battlefield 3s, man, that's what I'm talking about because that's what I live for in Battlefield. There's no better feeling than that. So
yep. No, I completely agree with you across the board, really. I think the one interesting thing is, if they do keep it on old gen, well, what now is old gen, be interesting to see if they start to limit player counts, because that's what we saw previously, right? Is instead of maybe 128, they do 64 total, where it's 32 v 32, and you don't get the full experience. But then that doesn't solve the population problem, because you can't then mix the players with the other ones. So, yeah, I don't really know. Dan, so first, same questions, kind of. Do you, do you think this will be on current gen as well, or last gen? I don't know where we're at. I guess it's last gen now. Last gen. What would you like to see out of it? And most importantly, Dan, do you think they should hire Jade Raymond to lead this project?
Well, I mean, that goes without question. I mean, her history in the gaming industry really speaks for itself. She created these great. And I know it's been a long time, I know, it's been a while, but I mean, she's just an amazing person, and she's got
her
cool
personally, name. I mean, you chat.
Yeah. I think I saw somebody checked up on her LinkedIn, yesterday on Twitter. Great person.
Yeah. So I denied it. She sent me a request, and I just that's it. No.
But I mean, if there was a first-person competitive multiplayer game that I played, it was always Battlefield. I'm not a huge COD fan. I love the medic role, because it takes out a lot of the actual shooting. Because
you can be meaningful in the battle without having to get a lot of kills.
That's right, and and that's I can't be meaningful trying to get kills. That's for sure. So it's one of those games that you have all these different options. It's really cool to play. I've always been a fan of it. I don't know about coming to the last gen consoles because I mean, you would think they would have had to make this decision already if it's releasing, in less than a year or so. I have no idea. I would think that PC players probably make up the majority of people who play Battlefield.
On Battlefield, they do. Yeah, they are the majority.
Right. So that's always going to be the same. Now you just have to worry about, okay, am I going to get? I mean, they have the numbers, so they know what like Battlefield 5 did, or what they're at now, and so I don't know. I mean, I don't think you have to, but you're going to leave a lot of people out if that's the case. So, but I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, I would rather than just focus on the next gen version and, put all their eggs in that basket, because people will eventually, I mean, at that point, we could be seeing a lot more of these, consoles releases, start seeing them on the shelves a little bit more, where they're not going to be so, hard to get.
Yeah. Especially if this release is like November, right? You know what I mean? If it's late in the year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be pushing for that too, Sony and Xbox, because, that's holidays, and people are going to, it's going to go nuts. Those two consoles are, I think, next year.
Yeah.
So, as far as, Battlefield's always kind of been the same to me. Like Bad Company games were a little bit different, and I enjoyed them. And I really liked them. But Battlefield's always been more of a sim type to me than it had than like Call of Duty, where it's a lot more arcade shooting. It's more running around, So I enjoy that. I hope it comes out this year, but who knows? It's EA, man. So
yeah. So I mean, that Battlefield is a holiday game, right? And they did say it's coming this year. I have to wonder if this is another game, because if you look at the timeline, I have to wonder if this is a game that was originally slated for last fall. And then just with obviously everything hitting, they're now in a state where they're probably in a pretty good shape. They said full reveal in spring, which would be a couple months from now. So if they're confident to show the full game off by spring, I have to think they're probably going to hit release.
Yeah, and they'll know. They already know.
Yeah,
what they're doing with generations they're coming to. So
yeah,
as far as 128 player battles, doesn't matter to me. That's just more people will kill me. That's basically
I think Pong nailed it though. The great thing about the big, they used to call them, if you remember, they had that marketing campaign called Battlefield Moments, where they're like, this is a battlefield moment, and it would just be something ridiculous that happened in a battle, right? But that's what Battlefield is. Like Pong was saying, in my opinion, is that it gives you something unique that you can't get in Call of Duty. Halo comes close, but it's obviously a very different style of game than Battlefield. Because just the chaos between destruction and the vehicles and helicopters and tanks and weaponry, it's just all kinds of crap happens. I think that's what I love about it.
Yeah,
and then, they
a motorcycle once and let it as it was going full speed and it ran right into a dude and killed him. I was like, yeah.
You could put C4. We used to put C4 in the ATVs and just roll them into buildings, and
exactly.
But damn, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Halo.
I don't know. No. Well, I mean, we could talk about Halo if you want to, but the other thing I was that was it. Is the other thing is two things really. Is one, with the way we've seen modern multiplayer go, Call of Duty was a little later, but now they're kind of leading it. 2020 was confirmed to be the best year for Call of Duty ever, both in sales and revenue, right? So knowing that Warzone is free to play now, and it has like 60 million players. Apex has tens of millions of players free to play. Obviously Fortnite, those go without saying. And we know that Halo, going back to your point, Dan, is coming with campaign, which will be Game Pass and paid, but multiplayer is going to be free to play as well. Do you think EA finally kind of bites the bullet with Battlefield and makes the multiplayer suite free to play? Or do you think they still stick with that traditional model of you've got to buy the game and then you play the multiplayer like it's always been? And two, Battle Royale. Do you think Battlefield, Firestorm kind of landed flat in Battlefield 5? Now, I don't know if that's because it was late to the party, if Battlefield 5 just didn't have the player base. I don't know what it is. It's not free to play. Do you think they take another shot at that to compete with Warzone? Or do they, they just kind of go to old school Battlefield method of the big battles and not worrying about Battle Royale? You guys think?
I think it's EA, so I think they take their shot no matter what, because they're always looking for that, that buck. I mean, there's no way they could ignore it. I mean, I'd be surprised, let's put it that way, if they try to ignore it, even if it isn't as successful as Warzone. If they can take a little bit of piece of that pie, they're going to probably take a shot at it at the minimum. I see it happening. I don't know how anybody nowadays, even though I'm not a battle royale fan per se, I like the classic style of multiplayer, but I don't see how you can ignore it at this point, or at least take the shot to work your way into that talk, into that mix of battle royales, because it's so lucrative that there's no reason not to, right? So I think you're going to see it. I think a lot what happened to Firestorm just happened, to be Battlefield 5 got the bad press. It didn't have the legs that it should have, that most Battlefield games do have. And so I think it suffered because of that. But I think if they do this one right, and they're truly going back to their roots, and they give you the regular multiplayer experience that we've come to love and expect out of a Battlefield game in a modern setting, I think they could probably draw some players to that type of experience, whether it be Battle Royale or a Firestorm, whatever. I think some players definitely would cross over, and I think they could find some success there doing that. So I see them trying.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. Funny enough, you talk about like EA wanting to get a piece of that buck. So I got, it's been the quarter for fiscal results at the time. And I got the EA press release to the Season Gaming account, and I looked through some of the line items. And if you look at the line item it was something like services and ongoing. I forget how they phrase it, but it was $4 billion last year.
Yeah,
for that. So nuts. Couple super chats real quick. So Manuel Garcia, man, thank you very much. He's just sending a super sticker But thank you very much for that. I don't even, does anyone know what MX20 means? I don't know what that means, but thank you no matter what.
Yeah, no idea.
Appreciate it, Manuel. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Hassan in the house. Frostbite's killing it. Battlefield 6, Anthem 2.0. And who knows what else.
How about
one
Mass
day.
Effect Andromeda? That was a freaking failure.
Yeah, well, they're, whatever new Mass Effect or Dragon Age, right? We'll see.
I hope not.
Hassan, thanks so much, man. Always good to see you guys. And then I saw Bomber in the house who said, this is a good point too. He loves Warzone. I know a lot of people play Warzone. If Battlefield does something similar, right, but has the destructible buildings, kind of that extensive vehicle play that Battlefield's known for, man, that could be something special for sure.
It could.
Yeah, interesting. Dan, what do you think, man? Battle Royale?
Make it free.
That's what we're asking.
Yeah,
you think they're going to?
That's the biggest thing. I mean, that's do it just like Warzone. Make it, get people in that, into your game, into your, service, and then maybe they'll be more willing to go jump over to the multiplayer stuff. Yeah. I'd also like to see the single player come back in a much more substantial way, than it was in Battlefield 5, which
funny because Gaming Gentleman just asked, "What's up, Gaming Gentleman?" Just said the same thing. Do you think they'll drop the campaign?
I mean, that's what I would guess they would do, unfortunately, but I want it back, because it was good, man. And it's a good, for me, it's a good way to learn how to play and get back into it, and kind of see all the different classes and all that stuff. They did a good job with it, I think, in 1. I mean, it was okay. I mean, not bad company levels. Obviously, that was just
those are awesome,
right? And then, but give me something that's not like a little 12-minute mission. That's it was so much trash, and short of that, I mean, they don't have to do a whole bunch. They don't have to do a ton. Make it look pretty, which they did. It always ran well, even on last gen consoles. So I love Battlefield, and I really like to get back into it. It's EA though, so what do we expect? I would expect that it's not going to be free. There's going to be microtransactions coming out the butt, so
it's be lots of cosmetics for sure.
Yeah, it's just what it is, which is weird because it just didn't seem like there was a whole lot of them, and I still, am on the fence on first person cosmetics, but then again, I've got a bunch of them in Sea of Thieves, so it doesn't make any sense to me. But do your thing, EA. Just bring out a good game that's not broken on launch. At this point, that's all I care about.
Yeah, and Battlefield, they've struggled with that in the past.
They have.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this extra year, if they did take an extra year, they can polish it up and actually make sure that it's working this time. So hopefully that's part of it. And before we get off this topic, a plea to DICE and EA, please go back to the old UIs. Please. This Battlefield 5 UI is an absolute wreck.
As was 1.
Yeah. As was 1, correct. But it's so complex and just convoluted. Go back to the simple days, please.
Yeah.
Changing a class should not be a chore. I'm sorry. If I want to change out my weapon and put some attachments on it, it should not take me 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah. That should not happen in 2021, please.
It's so slow too. It's just slow. It's a mess. I don't know what they were thinking with that. So, but cool. Yeah. So a lot of chat about campaign and whatnot. Mr. Keem in the house. What's up? By the way, anyone in chat who, for whatever reason, someone sent me a 14-day, Christian Howarth sent me a 14-day Xbox Game Pass Ultimate code that he can't use. So we can just give that away. If anyone needs a 14-day Xbox Game Pass Ultimate code, let me know, and we'll just throw it your way. So, all right, let's get to Mass Effect, because we need to bring Dan around to our side, let him see the light finally. It's I can't believe we even still have to talk about it, to be honest. I mean, it's
really
clear
at this point.
You really shouldn't.
So Mass Effect Legendary Edition finally wraps came off of it. It's actually, I would say, at least more than I was expecting from the upgrade here. So let me walk through it. So May 14th is when it's coming. So it's not hitting first quarter like was rumored, a few weeks ago, but it's still coming pretty soon. All of the games are getting visual enhancements. It is not specifically optimized for Series X and PS5. However, they will run kind of the game at its max settings, and it does have frame rate and resolution modes. So they say that it should support up to 4K, 60 frames, and also has HDR support. The biggest thing I think is that, one of the things we all talked about a lot is Mass Effect 1, even being the best in the trilogy, having the story and the RPG elements, because it was obviously the most dated game, right? There were some clunkiness to it, from the aiming to the UI to other things. And we were kind of hoping that they would go over that in this, and they are. In fact, there's a load of updates coming to Mass Effect 1, including control updates, the UI is updated, aiming, the cover system, the camera movements, and it's even getting some additional visual enhancements beyond what they're doing for 2 and 3. So I think this is fantastic. I am incredibly pumped for this. I don't know how I'm going to find time to play through the trilogy again, especially in May, because we even talked last week again about the April and May game release lineup is ridiculous. How many good games are coming out in a few weeks. But I'm glad that they've done it this way. And I can't wait for people who never got to experience the greatness of this trilogy to finally get to play it, because it's I'm not sure if as a trilogy it's been touched since. Right. I can't think of another trilogy recently that I liked more, but you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, thoughts, guys?
Yeah. Again, huge Mass Effect. Like, you asked me in the beginning some of my favorites. Mass Effect, for me, the trilogy itself, obviously, we're not going to talk about Andromeda, but the trilogy itself is up there as the all-time greats. There'd be very few trilogies that I could put up against it that would match it in overall. It's something that was transformative at the time because for sci-fi genre, I think it changed everything, right? There had been attempts, and some decent games here and there, but really when you watch a sci-fi movie, or any of us, or I'll just speak for myself, I guess personally, I've always wanted to go there, right? It's one of those places that you've always wanted to visit, whether you're watching Star Wars, whether you're watching Star Trek, it doesn't matter. You've always wanted to be a part of it. And Mass Effect itself brought that to us in our homes, right? They put the controller in our hand and we felt a part of the story. And it was a really, really incredible experience to have, whether it was the writing, whether it was the music, they really brought it all together. And for me, yes, Mass Effect 1 is still my favorite. Mass Effect 2 is right there. I really like it for what it is. It just wasn't the RPG experience that Mass Effect 1 was. And it being an RPG guy, it just appeals to me more. And I can hear the arguments. I'm not so hardcore to say absolutely not. However, for Mass Effect 1, them going back and redoing this, there are people out there, as you alluded to, Ains, that had never played Mass Effect at all. And we got a whole new generation that's going to be able to experience this in its best form. Even though they didn't upgrade the engine, even though they're still using Unreal 3, it's still bumping those settings up basically to the high marks, on PC that the PC people got, and then going back and fixing some of the issues that are there, the control issues. And I know people scream, you ME1 lovers, just you're nostalgic for the old days, but it's terrible, right? The controls are terrible. The Mako was terrible, which we can all admit the Mako was terrible. But for them to go back and fix it, when we were playing those games originally, everybody forgets we were playing a lot of terrible controlling games back then, right? It wasn't that big a deal. I never had an issue with it. So for me to see that a new group of people are going to be able to experience Mass Effect 1 with some updated mechanics, updated visuals, and really see what we felt back then, and then open up the rest of the series to them, that's fantastic. I'm glad EA finally did something and listened to everybody that's been screaming for this for a long time. Now next up is Dead Space, and maybe even Dragon Age they can go back and do some stuff with. But they finally listened to the crowd that was saying, look, you got one of the best franchises in history for a lot of people sitting there, and you guys haven't done anything to reintroduce it to the world, and it deserves it, and it truly does to this day. I mean, going back and playing them, the writing has lost nothing. The character development is all there. You fall in love all over again. The decisions, the decision making is still tense. I mean, it's still like, do I really want to get rid, do I really want to make this decision that's going to affect this character, even knowing what's going to happen, right? It doesn't matter. And I know a lot of people didn't like the end of, Mass Effect 3, and I can understand that, but the series as a whole is just simply one of the best out there. And for them to go back and do this is fantastic. I can't wait to experience the Mako that may actually drive a little bit the way I want it to, even in the open, empty worlds, at least they'll probably look more beautiful, but I can't wait to get back in the Mako and see how it feels. The cover mechanics, obviously, if they're updating that, it's going to bring a whole new level to ME1 that just wasn't there originally with the gunplay, which again, I can hear those. I never had a problem with it originally, but I can hear why some people did. So I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, May is, let's just face it, this year, even though we have all these delays, is becoming slammed with games. So I don't know where I'm going to fit it in either, but I know it's a day one for me, and I'm going to go back and love it all over again.
Yeah. So Dan, you're not allowed to slander Mass Effect 1 at all, but please, your thoughts.
All right, I'm good then. No, no. I mean, if you're a Mass Effect fan and you're not excited about this, then you're dead inside. So if you've never played it, which to me, if you've never played it, I understand that, but like I didn't realize there were so many people that just never ever touched it, and that's awesome. For people that are going to be able to go in and experience it for the first time. Yeah. And they can finally, play the first game, in a decent way because, of how it was, when it released. So now, I mean, is it 4K 60 straight across? Because I didn't really look too closely.
So they said up to 4K and 60. I'm wondering if because it's not fully optimized, like you'll be able to choose 4K or 60. Gosh. Because to Pong's point, it's Unreal Engine 3. They're not changing the engine, so they can't support the kind of more updated stuff for the, but it's kind of optimized for PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, and then you'll just get the best version of that if you're playing on PS5 or Series X.
I gotcha. Yeah. I mean, we can sit here and argue about the, RPG-ness of whatever. And, the fact is the whole series as a whole is fantastic. Yeah. And I know you listed, 100 things that ME1 is getting, improvements on, which just goes to show it needed all these improvements to bring it up.
From a control perspective, it did. Yeah.
From the class of ME2 and ME3. So we get it, guys.
Well, I mean, it's a good action game.
It's a perfect game.
We're talking about RPGs.
Well, that was the only one. It was an RPG, then it went to action.
Well, at least you admit it. At least you admit that too is not an RPG.
That's not what we're arguing here. We're arguing, as a whole, ME2 is obviously better.
When you talk about classic BioWare games like Knights of the Old Republic,
great game.
What are they remembered for? The story and the decision making.
That was there in 2. More so, I would argue.
The story is better in 1.
That I might give you. Like I like Saren better. Like there's points that you make, but I'm going overall product here. Not even close. Like the character development, the amount of characters, the fact that you have to,
the character development in 2 is epic. I'll give you that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But Saren was a far better antagonist. Actually, he's probably the best one in the entire series.
It's one of the best ever, in my opinion.
I mean, I think he was. Yeah. So it has its merits. When I'm the new people, when they go into this, and I've discussed it with other friends, just understand that when you get into 3, treat that as the ending of the series from start to finish.
Oh, yeah.
That's the ending. Yep. Don't get to the ending and go, oh, because you're going to be disappointed probably. Just go into it and be like, okay, this is the ending of the series. It's the ending of the trilogy from the moment you pick up the controller, and you'll be much more, excited about it. It's still... I'm not going to say
how much outrage there was at that. Like
there was a bunch.
Yeah,
a lot.
I understand it. I won't get into it too specific, but it's when people get their, when you've invested so much time into stuff, and I think people just felt minimized at the end. After all of these decisions that you made and everything, and I think how they did it, at least originally, they updated it and everything. I think people just felt like, well, shit. What was that? You know, and several games have done that in the past, and since then too.
Yeah, agreed. I'm just gonna. You can keep talking. I'm just gonna leave this up here for.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous statement. Now, I wonder if now after the remaster comes out,
yeah,
you know, will that lift? Will what they've done?
I'm curious too.
Past the greatness of ME2. Now, if it does, it's still going to have an asterisk next to its sign, so it's fine, you know. But we can all come together at that moment and agree that wow, they actually did a great job with it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll take out all the RPG elements though and just make it a straight action.
No,
I would laugh my ass off.
No, they will do that. It'll be the first video you see me burning like a game, like, you know. Like, I thought Ainsley was above this. Nope, not if you mess up Mass Effect 1. No, this is pretty cool, Robert Hart. Fun fact: my daughter's named Liara.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Wow, so awesome.
Super fan. That's awesome. No, you know, again, to Dan's point, and to mine, not to overdo this topic, but the big thing for me is that people for the first time, and there's so many people out there that have never touched the series itself, but there's also people who actually went back in backwards compatibility at some point and tried to play ME1 and was just turned off by the mechanics, which I totally understand. If you're not from that era, if you never touched those type of games back then and you didn't understand, and it's hard for me to go back to some old games now too. I mean, I'm going to be honest, but the whole thing is those people get a chance to, you know, come into the series and say, okay, now I can experience it the way that I was kind of expecting when I first tried it and get introduced to this. And there'll be those people that tried ME1, never tried 2, never tried 3, don't even understand the difference between 2 and, you know, between 1 and 2 and how different of a game it is. They now will be able to do that, you know, without having that block there. That ME1 is just so, I just can't do it. Forget it. I'm just not going to do it at all. You know,
that was the main thing, that's right? Huge. Yeah. Huh? That was the main point for a lot of people, you know, especially later on.
It's accessibility, right? It's harder to get into nowadays. And I think Dan's point is exactly right. It's going to be really interesting to see, because all joking aside, right, the story and the RPG elements of 1 are great. It needed updates in the other aspects. And if it's going to be really interesting to see that if it feels and looks from a UI perspective and the cover and the movement, if all that's the same now across all 3, but you still get the story and the RPG elements in 1, that could go down as one of my favorites, like all time, depending on how it feels.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know if you can see it. I pulled this out today, which I haven't pulled out in years, but I don't know if you guys remember this. So this is the Mass Effect 1 limited edition.
Yep.
Which before Steelbooks became really big in the 360 era, they had these big tin cases.
Tins. Yeah.
This is pretty rare nowadays. Somewhere. Say it again.
I'm pretty sure I have that. Actually, I have that one. I know I have the third one, the Steelbook.
Well, that's 1, 2, 3 right there.
Yeah. Show me 2 real quick. I know I have 1. I know I have 3. I'm pretty. Yep, I got that one too. That's like I don't collect anything. I bought all those.
But what's neat about these, right, is they're not steelbooks. They're thick and they're kind of tinny. You can hear it. But a few of the older 360 games have these, like Gears of War 1.
Gears of War. I was just gonna say, yep, I had that one. Yep, it was fantastic.
So, it's really cool. But what was I gonna say? On this, I pulled it up briefly. Where is it? This legendary cache, man, with the obviously a steelbook, but the 1-to-1 scale replica of Shep's helmet is just awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's, like I said, I don't collect stuff. This might be one of those things where I bite the bullet because I mean, I will literally wear that going out to the store. You know, that's fine.
I love it, man. I love it. So I ordered that right away, man. If they're 1-to-1 helmets, like obviously I have like the Halo 3 Legendary, but the helmet, you know, Chief's helmet is kind of like a display. Mm-hmm. Whereas there's been so many now, like Titanfall 2. I have the power armor from Fallout. Mm-hmm. There's a couple others I have where it's like 1-to-1. You can actually put them on. It's just hilarious. So, but very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm pumped about this. It's funny, Pong, that you brought up like Dead Space. I know that's another IP that just gets more and more vocal as the years go on of what are you doing with this IP?
Right.
And it's kind of weird, right? Because if you look at the arc of 1, 2, and 3 in Dead Space. It's almost similar to ME 1, 2, and 3, where 3 is the one that's kind of pushed off to the side. It's not held in as such high regard. And then there's the debate between, 2 was a little deeper. It played nicer, had a little, had a little better environment. But 1 is kind of like the more classic horror style game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny when you think about it, really.
Well, let's hope with all the hype that's showing up for this Mass Effect, let's hope it carries over and the sales are through the roof and EA finally wakes up and says, okay, let's just go back and do these again.
Yeah.
Because, again, if they don't have to go, upgrade the engine and they don't have to do all, years of work and they can just go back and just, remaster them this way, and Mass Effect does, extremely well, then I don't see why they wouldn't. Again, EA is always looking for a buck, so I don't understand why they wouldn't just put the effort into it and just do it.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's hope, and let's hope that the team they have on the new Mass Effect does it justice, because I can only imagine what expectations are going to be like for that one, like they were Andromeda, and we know what happened.
Yeah.
So, it's funny though. I don't know about you guys. I've seen a lot of people going back to Andromeda lately and kind of enjoying it now that it's improved and fixed up a bit. I'd never played through it fully. I played it early on and I didn't really enjoy it. So either of you finish it?
I finished it twice.
Really? I don't remember us talking about that, Dan, or I forgot. What are your true thoughts on it?
Like, here's the thing. Like now, because I went back to it maybe like a year after it came out. Maybe it was because they got an upgrade, I think, for the Xbox, and it was still kind of buggy. Like in certain places, like textures wouldn't load. I'd end up, looking at this amazing scene, and then like these mountains would look awesome, but then everything underneath it wasn't rendered, or it was just green or something. It was just weird, but I really liked the gameplay in that game. I mean, because it was a lot more action. It was just, it was kind of like a third-person shooter, and they did a really good job with those mechanics. I think, from day one, it just was so buggy. And so, everything else was just subpar. And that was the problem. The story was all right. You can do games like that are in the same universe, and Judgment is a good version. It's in the same city. It's in the same, it takes place as all the Yakuza games, but it's completely different with just, minor shout outs to it. But Mass Effect was such a big IP, and it still is. And I think they could have taken more from that original trilogy than what they actually did. And I think people probably would have been happier with it. Yeah. Put some more Easter eggs, put some more, and, save the Quarians, man. That was
Hashtag save the Quarians.
Save the Quarians.
Characters just weren't as compelling as the first ones. I mean, they just weren't. It was kind of dead. I mean, it was just, I didn't feel anything for anybody as I met them.
Yeah, really. I mean, I can't think of a single one that I actually really liked.
Right, exactly.
No, I told the story before, but I got early access to that game. It was one of the first games for Season Gaming that I got early access to play before the beta or whatever it was. So I kind of played the alpha, and when I first got to the famous girl they made the GIF of, and she kind of looked at me like, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, and there's an article from 2016 or 17 on the site where I literally said, I'm worried about Mass Effect Andromeda. And everyone's like, I actually got some feedback at the time. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's Mass Effect and everything. I was like, all right, I'm just telling you what I played. And sure enough, it's kind of funny. Let me get the super chat fast. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. This is Ains's beard appreciation post. Yeah, it's coming back. I
watch those guards.
It was shorter than I even realized. As you can tell, I haven't shaved this week, and it's still not very long. I really chopped it off last.
Dan,
week.
Did you go back and actually look and
actually,
realize that he had a beard?
Yeah, well, I did. Yeah, I did a screen cap of, I think it was him and Asa talking, and I posted it on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, you did.
It was something. I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about. And,
I mean,
it's hard to see.
There's context. It's not like I had a bomber beard. You know what I mean? It's just So let's touch on this real quick, because I don't find this weird at all, but I want to see your thoughts. Alden in the house. What's up, brother? Good to see you, Alden. Legendary cache with no game drives me crazy. So I've seen a few people kind of get on this again this week. and I got to be honest, guys, I don't get it. I don't get the outrage here.
How much is the legendary cash?
$150.
That's not bad for game.
Not for a 1-to-1 helmet replica.
No, the helmet replica is fine.
Yeah.
But why not just make it 180 and then put the game in there with us?
So here's here's my perspective, and you can tell me while I'm wrong, because you'll probably do that.
Yeah.
Games today, the way you access them is drastically different than it was just a short while ago with collector's edition. It used to be you go to a store, buy a collector's edition, you have the game. Simple, right? Mm-hmm. Now you have people like me who want physical. You have somewhere in the middle majority, who knows where, Dan, right, that wants digital. Mm-hmm. You have services that you can pay for to play the games, whether it be EA Play, Game Pass, etc. People buy keys online to the game through various different retailers, right? You can buy it on CD Keys. You can buy it on all these other things. You can play it on Steam. You can play it on Origin. All these different ways to access the game. So what ends up happening is people will pay, say you make it 180 to your point, and technically you're getting a deal, but right. you may be a digital guy and now you have a disc that you don't want to use. Or you may be a physical guy and it only comes with a digital code, which has happened to me plenty of times with like limited edition consoles, right? Like Cyberpunk, perfect example. I'm buying the physical anyway. Why am I paying extra so you can give me a digital code that I just gave it away for Season Gaming? Right, so what this allows you to do.
Why couldn't you just make multiple SKUs on that? It's not like if it were like a smaller studio, I would understand. But we're talking about EA.
No, but you're talking about, what are you going to do then? You're going to have a SKU with no game, a SKU with a physical game, a SKU with a digital game, yes. a SKU with a key for on PC, and you're going to ship those all over the world individually. Yes. Like that's not how distribution works.
Well, then just put the damn game in there. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like if it's a collectible, right? It's what it is. It's not the game. It's a collectible. So if you look at it from that point of view, you're right. Yeah, it's just okay. You're just buying a collectible thing.
Yeah,
right.
This allows you to buy the collectible, but you can then get the game however you want to get it.
That's fine, unless they were giving you some kind of nice deal on it. Is what I'm saying.
That's fine. Yeah, if you could get the game for like $20 or $30 more,
right.
I'm fine. But people are like, collector's edition should always have the game, and it's like, well, not really. That's.
I understand what you said.
Yeah. Alden said, "You're not wrong. I bought Hollow Knight CE for the stuff, but already owned the game. A steelbook with the game in it displayed." Yeah, I mean, it's just because game distribution, I think, has changed so drastically over the past several years with digital and all the other outlets and platforms. And then you have, many more people nowadays get review codes for streaming, stuff like we do, of course. It makes it so much easier if you just want to be a collector of stuff, physical stuff like me.
Yeah.
And I can get the game.
Once that dies off, then we'll be fine. Then there won't be this argument. Everything will have digital.
I'm looking for the mute button. There you go. You're muted. Don't worry about
it. See what happens? No, I mean I get where if it's just a collectible, they market it as such too, so that's fine, but I also understand that you maybe throw a deal in there, say, hey, okay,
if they threw a deal, I get it, but that still makes distribution really hard for them, right? Because they don't know how many people are going to think. Then you're making multiple SKUs for something you don't really need to do. The other thing I forgot to mention is points. People use Xbox Live points to buy games, or rewards points, I guess they call them.
Sure.
There's just so many different ways now. So anyway, hey, Alden, it's a very good point. You changed my mind.
Yes. He's lying to you.
Yeah, probably, but that's fine. We'll take the win. We'll take the win. The partial win, the fake win. We'll take it. Now we just got to get everyone on Mass Effect 1, and we can sign this thing right out.
That's never going to happen.
Oh, don't say never. Never say never. Remaster's coming.
If it were anybody else, I'd say never. But BioWare's got a chance. They got a chance.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Alden said, "Don't get used to it." Oh man. Anyway, great chat, guys, on Mass Effect. I think overwhelmingly, to kind of end cap this, is everyone's excited. You know what I mean? The people who haven't played it are gonna, as we already said, get to experience. The people like us who love it get to experience it in its best form. I'm just pumped, man. I can't wait. I just hope I can find time. Yeah. So let's move over to Certain Affinity. I want to touch on these guys real quick. So if you're not familiar with Certain Affinity, they are a independent studio, that was founded by Max Hoberman. And Max Hoberman is an ex-Bungie employee who is actually part of the original Halo CE design team, was contributor to the original Halo sandbox. And several years later started Certain Affinity as a new studio that's kind of grown over time slowly. We were talking prior to us starting today, and they created some, like Xbox Live arcade titles back in the day. And over the past several years, you wouldn't really know them. I know, Dan, we talked about this. You hadn't really heard of them directly, but they've probably worked on games you've played. So they did help on Halo CE Anniversary, which was huge, obviously. They did work on Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, which was huge. They helped on Halo 2 Anniversary. They've helped on Doom and some of the multiplayer aspects. They focus a lot on multiplayer. But what we heard this week, which is promising, is they're still continuing to grow. They're going to be nearly a 250-person studio now, that's a big studio. But they've signed a deal for a new IP with a major publisher to develop on their own. So it's going to be the first kind of game they're creating from scratch, new IP, major deal. No other details given, obviously strict NDAs here. So we don't really know what it is or who it's with. But regardless, it's exciting to see that team, who is loaded with talent, kind of get their shot to make a new unique IP. If I had to guess, they have a long history with Xbox, and there's been a lot of rumors with Xbox signing other deals with other studios, not acquisitions, the famous acquisition word, but just deals for games. It wouldn't surprise me if this is something for Xbox in the future. But again, we don't know. So let me hit these super chats real quick, guys, and then we'll get your thoughts. Lee Watson, what's up, man? I feel sorry for Dan getting muted. Have some justice, Dan.
Love it.
Yeah, $7.77, 777 quid. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it, Lee. Thank you very much. I see Aces in the house. One Bad Mother. What's up, guys? Marion, man, nice turnout, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. And Bomber back in the house. $3 super chat. Look at that beard coming back. Hashtag let it grow. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I don't know. Once too much white comes in, though, I get a little nervous. Letting that. It would take me about 5 years at this point to grow a Bomber beard. So yeah. We can't match Bomber. Bomber is Mr. Epic Beard.
That's ridiculous, man. Wait, does he use Just for Men in his? I mean, he's younger though, so maybe it doesn't. Like I thought about throwing some stuff in. Yeah, are you at that point, Bomber? Yeah. Because I'm wondering, like, how much, like, you have to get like 3 or 4 packages because there's so much there.
Just squirting.
Yeah, just like.
He takes a bowl and dips it.
Yeah, right. And it's like so dark. Like it's like I don't know what he does. Like the products that he must spend on, like he would save so much if he just shaved it off. Yeah.
For sure.
Jess in the house as well. Family showing up in the house. What's going on, Jess? Good to see you. Guys, Certain Affinity. So Pong, I'll start with you, man. So everything I just said on the new studio, what are your thoughts here? You excited?
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Love to hear, talent like this that has been developed over time. Like you were talking about, veterans of the industry. If you go through their LinkedIn accounts, I mean, these guys have worked on everything. They've had their hands. They come from, a lot of ex-Bungie. There's some ex-Midway in there. I mean, there's a ton of talent that's sitting in this studio. And like you said, they've been working their way up. And I have we all love the well-known AAA studios. We all love the big guys out there that we've had experiences with their games and fallen in love with, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, there's nothing better than watching a small studio like these guys seemingly grow this way organically and hone their craft right through the years of working and really, it's kind of amazing when you look at what they've done to go from, they've done all this work on big games, like you were stating. I think they helped with the Left 4 Dead port to Xbox 360 as well.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So they've done all this work on this big games, all these side, DLCs and that kind of stuff. And then they created these small little games like you're talking about, like Age of Booty, which we were talking before the show. I actually played played quite a bit of when it came out and actually kind of enjoyed it. And then Crimson Alliance, which is a dungeon crawler. So they've got all this experience. They've got writers that have worked on movies like The Matrix, Star Wars, some DC Universe stuff in there. So to watch this team work their way up through the ranks and finally get their opportunity. And like you said, I certainly hope it's Microsoft. They seem to have a close relationship, and obviously Phil and Xbox in general really cultivate those relationships with these studios, and they get to know how these people work, and they find that common ground. And when they find that common ground, it seems like they keep going back there, right? Whether it's an acquisition or whether it's getting into publishing deals with these other studios. So to see this happen, I'm absolutely excited. I can't wait to see what they bring. I mean, obviously there's a ton of multiplayer experience on this team from the games they've worked on, but they have done these other, Age of Booty was a real-time strategy game, and Crimson Alliance being a dungeon crawler. So they've got some, experience outside of just multiplayer. It'll be interesting to see what they whip up and what they come up with. But absolutely excited for this.
Excellent. Dan, being the Halo connoisseur you are, what do you think here?
I just looked them up on the Wikipedia, and they're making a Transformers Online game, which I didn't know anything about. So, whatever it is, I kind of want that now. I don't even know if they're, So
as long as it's Gen 1. Yeah.
Right. Obviously. I mean, let's not get crazy here.
Yeah.
I don't need Dino Wars or whatever the hell.
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars. Yeah. That was garbage. Sorry.
Speaking of which, not to take you off topic, Dan, but there's been a few comments earlier we didn't touch on. I forgot to, Pong, about your the figures you have above you there. And obviously that's Voltron. And people were saying, are those Voltrons? And no, that's Voltron and Jetfire. Know your shit.
That is correct. Gen 1. Thank you very much. My originals. Those are from my childhood.
I still have my Jetfire too in a box.
Awesome.
Stored away.
You got it in a box?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
In a box.
Oh, okay. I thought you had the original packaging. I was like, oh my God.
So Jetfire was basically Robotech.
Yes.
That's all the Transformers. Yeah. Yep. They basically ripped him off, but he was still one of the coolest badass.
Yeah. Well, Transformers, I mean, they ripped off quite a lot of different ideas from different Japanese things, but that's okay. Neither here nor there. It's still awesome. Moving on.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with certain affinity or whatever they're called.
It's on the screen, man.
I wasn't looking.
On the screen.
Was I right though? Yeah, let me see here.
Is it right? I'm not going to leave it running if it's wrong.
Certain affinity. All right, yeah. So I don't know them. I know what they've done now only because I had to look it up. Like I said, Transformers Online, awesome. Whatever this new one is, great. As long as it's not, some kind of games as a service. I'm pretty much cool with whatever. I want to see some more single player games. I want to see
That's what's going to be interesting because
no more horror games. How about that?
Hey. From Pong's point, they do have a ton of experience in this past several years with multiplayer. So be interested to see if this is multiplayer dedicated or they go down a story route. You never know.
Yeah. Do your thing, man. Let's see what you got.
Elu with his normal wit.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. So I don't really care about this, but I know a lot of people do, which is why I put it on the topic list. And that is that EA college football is returning. They announced it this week. They don't have the NCAA license, which is where this kind of gets interesting, but they apparently worked out some agreement with the college, whatever, CLC, which is going to allow them over 100 actual universities, including their stadiums. I have it here: stadiums, uniforms, logos, etc. So they can kind of recreate that college football environment, but they just can't use real players or likenesses. At least not yet. EA they did a press release basically saying that, hey, this is an ongoing discussion and agreement, but they are going to begin developing this game again. In the vein, I think, of what NCAA was. Hard to believe when I looked this up that NCAA, the last one was 2014. Right. Yep. So it's been 7 years since that whole thing happened, which is, God, we're getting old. But yeah, this is probably a few years out, and we'll just see what happens. But I know a lot of people. I have tons of friends, especially in the Midwest, and as you know, I mean, college football or like Bomber, who's in the South. College football is life and death.
100%.
Yeah. So what do you? I mean, you guys on this? Were you NCAA fans? You excited about this at all?
I was.
I kicked it around. I mean, was I a dynasty guy? No, I wasn't a dynasty guy like some of these guys are.
Yeah, because you could. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That was the big part, and that's the one thing I'll say. I just talked about this last night too on my other show. Is that that's the one thing EA can't do. I don't care what they do with this game, but if you look at all the message boards, if you look at all the fans out there, you cannot screw up the dynasty. Okay, do not screw it up. Do not put half effort into it. You better make it a full dynasty mode, because otherwise this game is going to die quick. I shouldn't say that because Madden every year is dead, but it still sells like crazy. So, but the point being is that do not screw up that part. Whatever you do,
Mr. Alabama's already on it.
Yes, exactly. HR knows. Bobber definitely knows. But yeah, no, I mean, again, the big thing for me with this is that there always seemed to be a competition, a rivalry between the studios that were making the college versus Madden. And I think at that time you saw more innovation from Madden than we've seen probably in a decade and a half when college football was still going, just because of the simple fact that those two studios seemed to, even though they weren't really rivals, they did at some point, because you had the fans of the college football series that were like, look how much better this is than what you got going on over here in Madden. Look how much better this play works and this defense works, and vice versa. And so you had that back and forth between the fan bases. And I think it really pushed both studios to do something different each year. I mean, yes, the college game itself is different than the pro game in a lot of ways. There's been a lot more crossover since the last college football game in 2014 between the real college football and NFL. NFL has adopted a lot more college style. But at the same time, I just think that inner rivalry between the studios, if they can get that back again and push each other to make some changes and updates to each other's games, I think that will result in a better game overall for us. And so I'm excited from that standpoint. As far as not having the likenesses, again, if you do the game right, the fan base will do all the work for you. Okay. 2014 still has a huge following. I just sold Yep, exactly. Exactly. I just sold a 2014 copy that was scratched, but it still played, but it was scratched, so it brings down the value. But I just sold it for a 360 for $100 just a month ago. Yeah, it's you can't find it anywhere. I mean, you can find it on eBay and stuff, but they all go for over 100, right? So that fan base will do all the work for you. Make a full featured creation, right? A character creation, a player creation.
Yeah.
And they will do all the work for you. They will fill out the names. They will make them look like them without you having to put it in there. And literally, there's people that every year update the rosters with current college rosters, right? And they take a lot of time to do that, a lot of time. So just make the game right. You'll have the fan base do the work for you, and you'll have a great game. Period.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. And that's about as much as I can say. Here's the thing with Madden and NCAA, they got to a point where they were crossing over. NCAA basically became like last year's Madden engine, and that's basically what they used. It was EA Tiburon, I think, that did those games, and so they basically just made the same game, or the NCAA version of it, because you have to, because it's such a quick turnaround every year.
Yeah.
So and then they had probably another team, I'm guessing, working on the improvements for the next Madden while these guys were in here retrofitting, that game to them. And like you said, Pong, it's gonna take about a day before somebody goes through and gets 100 different teams with 70 plus players with every single name on them.
They'll have a plan before the game even launches to knock it out.
Right.
And as long as they keep it to where you can, start in NCAA, because that's what I ended up doing. I played NCAA, played a season, imported the draft class to Madden, played a season to Madden.
Bomber.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, man.
Yep.
Yeah, and if that works out, and the problem is the EA Madden engine now is garbage. Like, I just bought 21 because it was on sale, and I had to use some of my credit before it expires on Xbox.
Part of the problem, Dan. You're part of the problem.
Well, I had nothing else to buy.
As Dan will tell you, his hand was forced.
It was forced by Xbox because some of my rewards were running out. So I was like, I'll just pick it up because it's Super Bowl. And I was like, I'll get into it. It is such trash. I mean, it's worse than 20. I don't know how you go backwards. We've gotten to the point where it used to be like, okay, there's these incremental improvements. Then it just got to the point where it was sideways. And then now it's backwards. So I had so many issues with that game just starting up, just loading it and being able to download files and making it's just, I just don't understand what they're doing. So that's the issue that I'm having with it. I could have bought you something. You should have said something. I had no idea what to do with it. So I was like, crap, I better buy something before this goes off sale. But it's just, gosh, man, that's my biggest worry is that they're basically going to use the old Madden engine, throw the people's numbers in there. And the CLC, I think, is the licensing for college football.
It's a college, yeah, exactly.
It's some kind of licensing company, but they do everything, so they can kind of sidestep the NCAA. These players are still not going to probably get paid for any kind of, likeness, even though, people are going to put their, unless they don't include that in the game,
right?
Where you can't edit the rosters, which,
that would be a mistake.
No,
that would be a
mistake. But I wonder if that's going to be part of the deal, where,
Oof.
I hope not, because I don't want to play as number one, in Madden. It's like, all right, you've got running back number 32. I'm like, what? What is this garbage? So we'll see what happens. I'm super pumped for it. I just hope they do a good job. College football has always been more of the, the pure version of the game. I think Mo said that. It's always, I rather watch that normally than the NFL. So yeah, man, it's been too long. It's been 7 years. We're due.
Yeah.
It's about damn time.
I have nothing to add on this front, fellas.
Yeah.
So we're just, I'm happy people are happy. I know, like I said, I got lots of friends that are into this, so I hope it's good. And I hope everything you guys said about, obviously being able to edit and carry forward and all that stuff, I hope they do it right. I don't see how they could. One last thing, Dan, to your point about, trying to stop them from adding the ability to edit. It seems weird, right? Because you can say you can't have the likenesses, the names, etc., but to then detail what the game can be built like seems strange to me. I hope they doesn't go down that route. I wouldn't even know what that would entail, I guess is what I'm saying. So anyway, let's jump over. We've got, last week we talked about Xbox's impressive growth and their fiscal results. And I think I mentioned last week, it's, PlayStation and Nintendo were going to follow suit. And no one should be surprised when we see some amazing numbers for both of them, just because 2020 was an incredible year for all the gaming companies, all the big three, I should say. And so I want to run through some of these numbers and just we can chat about it briefly. But it's nuts, guys. It's just nuts how much gaming continues to grow. So I'll start with PlayStation. Some numbers for you. So 4.5 million PS5s have shipped remember, this is as of the end of the year. So this is December 31st, which is apparently, according to Sony, the same as PS4. I find it kind of peculiar. They said they shipped the exact same amount of PS5s as the PS4s, but hey, whatever, 4.5 million. The PS4 sales dropped substantially, which is obviously kind of to be expected, right? 1.4 million, but that does take the PS4 total sell through to 115 million now, which is firmly the second best selling console of all time, only behind the PlayStation 2. So, pretty impressive. PS Plus subscribers. So this is paid PS Plus subscribers up to 47.4 million. PSN overall access, meaning like we talk about with Xbox, where it's like just anyone who accesses Xbox Live from anywhere. Same with PSN. They're up to 114 million monthly. Miles Morales, I know we talked about this a few weeks ago, Dan, but the numbers weren't clear at the time. They seemed far too low. At the end of the day, Miles Morales, when you include all sales, is up to 4.1 million. So pretty solid there. It's pretty funny that, 4.1 million, that's cross-gen. So it's definitely a good move that they released it on PS4 as well, I believe, especially given the shortages. But this is probably the biggest number for PlayStation, is that their 2020 fiscal revenue was 21 billion, almost 22 billion, which is the highest fiscal revenue for a single year for a gaming company of all time, of the three, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. So this is the best year any of these companies has ever had since their founding. So it just goes to show you, and we'll talk about Nintendo's numbers in a minute here, but it's just nuts. PlayStation is a global brand, even despite the PS5 shortages, just super, super impressive. Continues to do extremely well.
Yeah, man, I don't really, you know how I am with these stupid numbers. People use them to measure their, stuff, and it's just ridiculous.
It's more of
it's impressive.
That's what I was gonna say. It's more impressive just to recognize that one of the companies we love just continues to do well and grow, right? So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how these numbers would change, through, if we weren't in the pandemic, if we weren't having these shortages with the components and everything that we're having, and I would have liked to have seen what could have. I mean, it might have been another million, maybe another 2 million. Who the hell knows? It's awesome. I mean, as long as these guys keep doing well, we're going to continue to get games, and that's really all I care about at this point. I think I saw something where like the PS5 has like an 87% attach rate to PSN, like with the new consoles, which is awesome. I'm guessing
PS Plus.
PS Plus.
Okay, nearly 80% of PS5 owners are PS Plus subscribers, which makes sense because those are your early adopters.
PS Plus.
Yeah, the paid service.
What the hell are you talking about?
So PSN is PlayStation Network, right? Which you can access from PS3, Vita. So PS Plus is the paid, like, live gold.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, okay. Now I get you. God, there's so many stupid names. Yeah. So, I mean,
80% of PS5 owners are PS Plus subscribers, which, like I said, makes sense. It's the early adopters who bought PS5 at launch. They're going to be
30% are probably in scalpers' hands right now.
Probably.
Sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah, they're probably just sitting there in somebody's house.
Yeah.
And that's, great. I mean, and it's everything. This is all good news for us because
it's great.
We're going to be getting a ton more stuff coming out from both manufacturers, from both studios. Just keep doing this. That's all I want to see.
Yep. Yeah, and it's funny. So, Gaming Journal, when the inevitable, GTA 6 comes out, I wonder how much effect that will have on console sales. Well, yeah, depending on what the details of that console are, and if it's console only, like we saw with 5 before it came to PC, you can damn well bet that that's going to be a system seller no matter where it is. So, and as I think we all agree, the PS Plus value on PS5 right now is nuts. That PS Plus collection, February games we just talked about with Control, Destruction All Stars. I mean, it's fantastic value right now. And as we said, you've been able to get PS Plus for like $30 right now a year if you're just looking online.
I still got codes.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy. Paul, what do you have to add on PlayStation, man? Anything?
Health of the industry. I mean, the industry, and we're going to talk about the Nintendo numbers. We've already seen Microsoft and now PlayStation, but the health of the industry, again, as Dan was stating, it's just good for all of us. I mean, I firmly am in the belief that we are coming into the golden age of gaming with the explosion that we've seen now. When we get through the pandemic and stuff and things get back to normal, per se, it'll be interesting to see if there's a dip at all, or if this has actually brought so many new people into this industry and playing games, as we all know and have known for years that gaming can be kind of addictive. It's one of those great little things, that it becomes a hobby. And it'll be interesting to see as things get back to normal, if people continue their play habits and if this growth just continues to move forward as we go through the years. But right now, with these kind of numbers, you're seeing more money than ever being invested, not only from a consumer standpoint, from a dev standpoint, from a publishing standpoint. Investors are coming into this industry in droves right now, looking. They want a piece of the pie. And what does that mean? Well, forecasting out from this standpoint, which these companies have to do, right? This money's coming in. It has to be put somewhere. That means games are being made at probably a record pace. And that means three. We're not talking about next year. Next year's going to be fantastic as well. But we're talking about, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, we're going to see the fruits of what's happening right now. and we're going to see an explosion of games. So it'll be, again, from my standpoint, I'd like to see what happens when things go back to normal down that far. If this install base of new players sticks around, man, all the better. But the health of the industry is what's important, and to see all three companies showing these record numbers is what matters most, and it means gamers win. So gamers win. They're winning. They're making a ton of money, but gamers are going to get all the great stuff out of it. So I'm happy to see it. Yeah,
you're spot on. The investment, and I don't even have it for us to talk about as we saw, but Embracer Group bought Gearbox this week. And Embracer Group, if you're not familiar with that name, they're the owners of THQ Nordic, which the IP ownership they now have that they're amassing for the future is just nuts. So, crazy. But good point by Darren over here, a good friend of the show, Darren. Record PS Plus is a great deal, even if you don't have the PS5, because on PlayStation, you just add them to your library and then you'll own them digitally, going forward. Very good point as well. Steel Rain, what's going on, man? Thanks for stopping by. Let's touch on Nintendo. So it's hard to touch on Nintendo sometimes for me because I can't, my mind just can't wrap around some of these numbers. So the Switch, as of December 31st, they were at 79.9 million Switches sold, which means they've passed 80 right now in February. So in less than 4 years, they're nearing probably the 5th or 6th best-selling console of all time already with the Switch. It's on pace. It's selling faster than the PlayStation 4, which, as we just said, is the second best-selling console of all time. It's year-over-year growth. People are like, oh, the Switch will start to slow down. It actually sold 24% more in 2020 than it did 2019. And their first-party titles are just untouchable, literally untouchable. Animal Crossing has sold 31 million units. Now, think of the attach rate. There's 80 million Switches. It sold 31 million units. You're talking about an attach rate up near 40%. It's the only exclusive ever in history to sell 30 million units in a year. Mario Kart 8 is at 33 million. And remember, that's a Wii U title. It's a Wii U title, 33 million units on the Switch. They now have 6 first-party titles that are over 20 million copies each. To put into perspective, and I know we've talked about this before, but you look at one of the best-selling first-party IP, we've said this, right, on PlayStation, is Spider-Man on the PS4. It hasn't sold 20 million units. They have 6 on the Switch with a lower install base that have sold over 20 million units. Their net profit, now this is not revenue, their net profit, 33.3% increase in 2020 over 2019. So, I mean, Nintendo is just absolutely crushing it. And it doesn't even feel like, this is going to come off wrong. You guys know I don't mean it. It doesn't even feel like they're putting that much effort in. Like they're literally just crushing it with not old IPs, but kind of like ports, some improvements. We already know that next week is Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, another Wii U port with some new additions, granted. But we already know that that's going to sell like absolute bonkers, at $60 a pop. And it's just nuts. It's cool to see. I mean, we talked about it earlier. The nostalgic factor for Nintendo is cool to see. I just continue to wish and hope that as their revenue is really, really kind of creeping up, please reinvest some of that into dev studios and online infrastructure. Please, get with the 20th century. I didn't mistake. That's what I meant, the 20th century. So I don't know if you guys want to touch on this at all. I continue to be just amazed at Nintendo's numbers. They're mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, Nintendo does what Nintendo does. They've created a rabid fan base, on par with Apple, and they can do whatever they want to do.
It's a good point.
They can do whatever they want to do. They can continue to charge $60 for, 5-year-old games. It doesn't matter. People buy them up. They can, put no effort into a remaster and just relaunch old games as a package deal, and people eat it up. And like I said, nothing but respect to Nintendo for what they've done over there. They swim in their own pond, and it's a big pond, and they're all by themselves. And so they just keep doing what they're doing. It'll be interesting from a hardware standpoint to see where they go, to see if these numbers push people or push the company, I should say, to maybe delay an actual real new console down the road at all. I mean, why would you put the effort into it if you got all these people? Obviously, rumors being what they are, that the chances are they're going to update it at least. And like you said, maybe they'll finally start looking at some of their infrastructure and services and saying, hey, it's time we upgrade. It's time that we allow, we don't need 20,000 digit codes to connect with people. I mean, let's, I just want to be able to talk to my friends online. Maybe we should work that out. So, but yeah, no, good for them. Again, obviously there's a reason why they've got the fan base they do. So more power to them.
It's funny on the online. I don't know if you guys saw this week, but the news did come out that their backbone for some of their online games is finally being updated with the release of Monster Hunter Rise. It's the first game to be placed on this new backbone. And their existing backbone that Nintendo Online runs today on the Switch actually has code in it for Windows 98.
Yep. It's 20 years old. It's insane.
Windows 98. What
I'm also curious if that had something to do with Apex coming there too, if they finally had to do something. Because Apex
it could. Yeah, I don't know.
They finally had it. Okay, fine.
We'll take some of this change in our pocket. Fine.
But
yeah,
they're crazy stuff.
Yeah, their annual revenue, it's not as high as PlayStation, but it's up there. It's over 10 billion. So I mean, God, it's nuts. And as Elu said too, invest in Metroid. For God's sakes, man.
Do something, man.
Right?
Must have been, I mean, like you see these. The thing is with the Switch, you don't have at least recently, you don't have like the Call of Duty games. You don't have the EA games. They tried with FIFA.
Mass Effect's not coming. We were just saying, no Mass Effect, no Battlefield.
They are missing all these, experiences.
Yeah,
but they still continue to just put out what they do. They know people. Animal Crossing has a huge fan base. This is all they need to do, really. And I still don't understand their whole, we're going to limit the time this is going to be on our store thing with, like Fire Emblem and the Super Mario
Disney
stuff.
Vault style.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, why would you even do that? But they do, and people still buy the stuff. It's almost like, okay, well, I got to buy this now. We got to, are they trying to force profits, in a certain amount of time? I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm a clue.
But they continue to do it, man, and good on them. It's always nice to have that, I guess different, console that provides the unique experience, that Nintendo always has, and I just wish I played it more.
Yeah,
Monster Hunter will change that for me, but it's still that's going to be it for until Metroid comes out, or something similar. I mean, I jump on and play Mario every once in a while, but it's an indie game machine, basically what it comes down to, for me. And there's so much shovelware.
Yeah.
And then they put it, they announced where they, everything has got to be like a minimum of $2. There were some games that aren't even worth 20 cents on that damn store. We played some of them. I think we got ripped off.
Yeah, we did. We did a video of some of the worst games on. So we did a challenge. It's not a great video, but I'll put it out there anyway. That me, Dan, and Bert a couple years ago, we picked a game for each other that we thought would be the worst game on the eShop. Mm-hmm. And we made each other play it for like half an hour. And there's a video of us playing these games, which are just, they're junk.
What was that Captain Bird one that you were about? God, it was nuts.
There was like a Crash Test Dummy one, which
that's the
music haunts me to this day. It's that bad.
God, it was so bad. Yeah, I mean, but they still, it's, I mean, good on Nintendo. I'm glad that they're there, but they're just like in their own league, in their own realm of gaming. It's like here's Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Nintendo's over here smoking cigars, and laughing, and that's all they're doing. Yeah. So hey, good for them, I guess.
Yeah, I know we talked about this previously too, Dan. I think maybe with Benji, but the interesting thing here, they're at 80 million units in less than 4 years, and they're on pace. They sold 20. I didn't put it in here, but they sold something like 21 million Switches in 2020. Mm-hmm. So if you can keep that pace, and if they continue with the Switch moniker, even if they do an eventual Pro or whatever, update revision, if that continues for basically 4 years, there's a real possibility that the PS2 will go down and the Switch will be the best-selling console of all time, which nobody thought the PS2 would ever be touched because it had like an 11-year lifespan globally, and its numbers are so far ahead of everyone else. But it's crazy to think that Switch is almost easily going to be the second best-selling console of all time, and that it could be the first.
Gross.
It's crazy. And they make money on every unit. Remember, they're not selling at a loss.
Nope.
So
it's because they use fucking $2 joysticks.
Well, and that's the other thing. They're 4 years in, or almost. Next month will be 4 years since it launched. There's no price reduction.
No,
still $300.
Need to.
No, like never. Like you never see it. Like, oh, here's a game that comes with it. It was a Wii U game, but it comes with it. It's still $300.
Yeah. On my face, you're not seeing confusion. You're seeing jealousy that I didn't think of this shit ahead of time. Because, good Lord, man, it's crazy. Anyway, we'll move on for that. But I will. Speaking of, the opposite approach, let's talk about Stadia real quick. Something that has no nostalgia. And no fan base, really. Well, I won't say no, but I'm being a little smartass here. But news this week, very confusing news about Stadia. Now, it was already not really making big waves among the industry, but news that they are shutting down all of their first-party efforts. Now, if you're not closely paying attention to this stuff, why this is really interesting is because just less than a year ago, and I know we were talking about this prior to the show, but less than a year ago, they announced that they were investing in first-party exclusive content, and they were starting that by they already had one studio working on games. They opened a second studio in Southern California with Jade Raymond, who we talked about earlier, as one of the vice presidents. And then Shannon Studstill, and if you don't know who Shannon Studstill is, she was the literal head of Sony Santa Monica, who oversaw God of War for PlayStation. And she left PlayStation and Sony Santa Monica to head up this new studio for Stadia, which in 11 months is now being shut down completely. And they are literally shutting down all first-party development, both studios. Some of the employees are being retained. They didn't go into the specifics, obviously. I don't know what Shannon's doing, but they did confirm that Jade Raymond has left her role as well. So this is just a baffling one to me, guys. I mean, what they kind of said is they're going to focus on third-party agreements, licensing agreements, deals, that type of thing. But I just continue to be baffled. Speaking of baffled by Nintendo's success, I continue to be baffled by Stadia's just whatever you want to call it, whatever they're doing in the industry. Because you have a technically console, you have a video game manufacturer that literally owns YouTube, literally owns the Android operating system, the biggest in the world. And they can't figure out how to get games to people. And I don't understand what they're doing. If anyone can provide any insight, I'm welcome to it, because from a business perspective, they just look to be an absolute disaster.
This is Google, man. They if you're not making like money immediately with them, it seems like they just get rid of it. Like it has to be some kind of, it has to be profitable, like almost right off the bat. They used to have, I talked with Mo about this, the Nexus phone, one of my favorite phones of all time. I love the Android. It's a pure Android phone. They got rid of it. Gone. Google, Plus, which is their little, whatever that was they were doing. Gone.
The Facebook competitor.
Yeah. Gone. I mean, it's just didn't they get rid of like Hangouts too? Or
yep.
I mean, they
got rid of it before even providing a better solution for the people using it.
Right. Yeah. And then they've got Google Fiber in certain cities. Sometimes, I think it was Kentucky or somewhere where they literally dug up the streets, to lay their fiber, put it down, and then just canceled everything.
They canceled the whole thing. Yeah.
The whole thing in the entire city. I was just like, what in the hell are they doing?
Google Glass Bomber just said too, their glasses.
Yep. Yeah. Everything they just cannot. I don't know if they just have like a super short attention span. They all have like ADHD. I don't know what it is, but it's just maybe put a little bit more effort. Like I'm afraid that I'm gonna get like an email one day, like any day, that's gonna say we're canceling fiber service. in your area, because then I'm like, I'm gonna be. I have to go
then you're gonna be stuck with my crap.
Yeah. It's. I just don't understand what they're doing with the first party studio. They shouldn't have even started that. That's one of those things like what Amazon's doing. Well, I'm not 100% sold on them either. I'm really not 100% sold on the whole cloud gaming thing anyway. But it's at least they started small. They're still technically in like the beta.
Yep.
They've got a subscription service. Like, give me $5 or $6, $7. You have access to all these games. Now you also have, you can do Uplay Plus or whatever it is if you want to for an extra $15. That gives you access to all the Ubisoft games. Like, you could do something like that. You could build a service around that if you wanted to. Maybe. But the technology still is catching up. At least the infrastructure is, from like a ISP standpoint. You don't have, people still have data caps, and you can stream a game, that's you're streaming at 10 gig every hour or something, or more. It's insane how much data that stuff uses, especially when you get into like the 4K stuff.
Yep.
So unless you've got unlimited, data on a high speed, service, you're kind of screwed, and it's just not there right now. So I understand, and maybe that's part of Google's fault. They could have expanded and done this and got the infrastructure all laid down, but they backed out. And then they were like, oh, we're going to back out of this too. We saw what was it Crucible from Amazon? Yeah. That's trash. It was trash. It got put up there and it got taken down like 5 days later, or whatever it was. It was something. It was ridiculous, And then Amazon kind of said, you know what, the hell with this. We'll just put this service out there. We've got the, and Google has it too, and Microsoft. We've got the infrastructure to do this kind of stuff. We just, we're not going to develop games, and that's fine. I mean, I don't know what we could have expected out of, Google's first party stuff. There was one game that they had, or I don't even know if it was their first party. It was just an exclusive game. It was like the Orc game.
Oh, that wasn't first party.
No, it wasn't first party.
No.
That was right. They just. You don't have to have exclusive games necessarily if you price your service and at a competitive price.
It's accessibility.
Right. That's all it is, man.
Yeah.
If you want to do like the Netflix of gaming, like, and the problem that you're going to run into now is Microsoft is so far ahead, with the subscription services and everything and what they provide, and you can see what is coming in the future. They're so far ahead of Google and Amazon that it's going to really create problems. And Sony, I look at them, I'm like, you guys need to do something fast, because you've got the games and the access to that. You just don't have the infrastructure to pull it off yet. And maybe and they could. I'm sure they could just buy their way into it. But
with 20 billion revenue a year, they're making deals.
100%. So I mean, it's frustrating because you don't want to see this happen to anybody like in the studio and all those devs that have to.
Yeah, I feel bad. It's always the devs, right? Yeah,
they always get the shaft at the end.
Yep.
And shout out to, was it Phil Harrison for being a complete piece of trash? So I mean, you suck so bad. I can't imagine. I can't even think of like one other person that has just like killed so many things. In
the resume is impressive.
It is. It really is. So I mean, you can suck it, dude. I mean, I'm done with you. Just stay away from everything. Just retire.
Why does he keep getting hired into these positions?
Getting paid to fail. That's the way to do it.
Say what you want about Jade Raymond and what she's done. At least she hasn't done what this dude has done. Right? I mean, and God, it just sucks because you want to see these teams or these companies succeed, because it pushes the other companies to either enter into that arena or do better with what they have. And you always want to see that kind of competition. So when one of them just says, "Oh, the hell with it, we're done.
Yeah,
we're not pouring any more money to it," and it's only been what, like less than a year, right?
2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. What do you expect? I mean, do you expect the God of War to have come out already, or something to that size?
They gave him 11 months with new employees. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell, man? I mean, that's like you gotta realize where you're at here. I mean, you can't just jump into something all of a sudden.
Well, it's exactly what we talk about Xbox. People are like, they bought those studios in 2018. It's like 2.5 years is nothing in first party development. It's nothing. It takes time, man.
It's so frustrating, man.
People look at PlayStation first party, which we always come back to because it's, or even Nintendo, for an example. Those are things where the seeds were laid years and years and years ago. A lot of the investment in the first party for PlayStation wasn't the PS4 era. It was the PS3 era. The fruits of it came during the PS4 era. It just takes a very long time. We talked about that, I know, with Benji too, Dan. You can't expect that out of the gate. And Phil, I told you guys the story before of the guy I know in the industry who's a VP ran a different company, and I meet with him at E3 and have lunch, and he told me, he said, as soon as they saw Phil Harrison was leading Stadia, they knew it was dead in the water. And that's a harsh statement. When he said it to me face to face, I was like, damn, man. He's like, I'm telling you, just watch it. And here we are, that's failing upwards to the most degree. Yeah.
It is.
What I'm trying to figure out is like, what were they shooting? Like, what was their goal going into it? Like, if they were going like, okay, we're going to eventually produce all this first party content with one studio, I mean, it doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, I understand they were making all these deals with all these third parties and everything. That's fine. But, if you're really expecting, you're going to put out a game that's supposed to be, that might be genre changing and really move the industry on a platform that, 7 people actually have access to. I mean, it doesn't really do you any good. There was no marketing behind it, or very, very little. It's not like you could turn on the Super Bowl and it's like, oh, hey, look at this guy. This is actually pretty cool.
Which, as we've said, you own the search engine for literally the internet.
Right.
You own YouTube, literally the video content of the internet, and you own the operating system for the most phones in the world.
Right.
How can people not know what Stadia
and people have no idea. None whatsoever. It's insane, man.
Google's leaving Phil out of it. Google itself, this was the fear from the beginning, right? This was the overall, everybody was talking about it when they first announced this. It was like, well, how long is it before Google gives up on it, right? Yeah. Because it's just something they do. They're like a guy who walks into a buffet and just taste tests everything and goes, nope, takes a little piece of everything and just goes, nope, don't want that. Nope, don't want that. They keep doing this with everything, right? So it is insane to think about, but thank God they didn't get ZeniMax, right? Just thank God, because this is what everybody's fear was, that they would just give up one day and whoever, all the devs, all the teams that they had developed at that point, just gone. And they all, that's it. Poof, goodbye. So thank God that didn't happen, because there was obviously strong rumors that was going around, that they were there, and it is baffling to me that we heard their name brought up so much from Xbox and stuff as far as being a main competitor. Yeah. So you'd think that they would know like a little bit more. So was there bigger plans? Did they know about a lot more talks that were going on that Google was having with publishers or devs? That they were going to try to acquire, and then all of a sudden they just woke up one morning and said, yeah, now we're done. We're out.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off, Paul, but it's an interesting thought, because I have to wonder if people like Phil or the CFO, Amy Hood and whatnot at Microsoft, or even Amazon, wherever, are sitting there. Either they knew, or they're sitting there just like us and thinking, you have the search engine, the video production, and the phone market, and you can't figure out what, Microsoft, given their current other investments, would kill to have the power of Google search engine, YouTube, and the phone market. They tried and failed.
Yeah, they've tried, and all of them.
Yeah, it's bad. I seriously just think it's just incredibly poor management.
It seems like it from the outside, it's something.
Yeah,
like I said, I can't believe how many things they've tried and just said, nope, it's not going to work. I just don't get it. And like you guys said, I even if you were even if you're not dipping your toes, did they honestly expect just to walk in and just build a studio and a year, 2 years later have games just flying out and that was going to be it? And they were just going to succeed? How do you do that? There's no way that you thought that in reality. So what was your plan? What was your roadmap going forward?
I don't know.
They were on the path too. I mean, they had Baldur's Gate 3. It's a humongous IP.
Yeah.
It's a humongous game.
Yeah, which cannot be played on consoles.
Right. Cannot be played anywhere else. They had the, I was just like, and now, I mean, you still have it there technically. It's still there. It's just like, man, you could have pushed that so much harder.
Right.
It's just, I don't get it, man. I mean, it's so frustrating. It's more baffling to me than Nintendo. Because at least Nintendo has this track record of just
right. Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's got 40 years of
right. But I don't know what they expected. That's the biggest thing. You got to really maybe have more than one studio.
Well, or if you're going to invest in the studio, I mean, on paper, we don't know all the details, of course, but on paper, they did it right. You got someone that has experience leading teams in Jade. You got someone who's had experience leading a successful studio in Shannon. You've invested in basically what is like the Silicon Valley of game development in Southern California, right? All the talent is there. There's zero reason why you couldn't have made this work, to your guys' point, if you gave it the time.
Right.
And I think everything you've said, it's just like it feels like almost impatience, where they just, they can't stop from stabbing themselves in the eye. It's bizarre.
It's so weird.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think we're all sitting in the same boat. And I think one more point I would just make. Fun speculation. What's up, man? To your point, Pong, around Microsoft's looking at did they see this coming or whatnot, and talking about Google and Amazon being the main competitors. I know we've touched on it before. My personal feeling is the way they look at it is the direction Microsoft is going in Xbox with their gaming. We've talked about ad nauseum, right? But the future is kind of gaming wherever you are, however you want, right? I mean, way into the future, long term. And we talked about it so many times. So I'm sorry if you're a normal listener and you've heard me say this a million times, but the only three companies in the world who can support that today are Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. And so I think the thinking was Google has the infrastructure globally to support this, and they have the internet presence, being YouTube, Android, Google. They're a big threat, because at the time it seemed like they were investing, and they've got to be sitting on the sidelines just like with a beer watching them implode. Like, what are they doing?
Each one that drops out just helps them, because like Dan said, they got such an incredible lead already, and
I mean,
they're going to continue to grow it.
Xbox is sitting on over 20 years of reputation now. They're not Nintendo, of course, or PlayStation, but they have a strong reputation, a strong fan base. They have 23 studios, and they have nearly 20 million already subscribed to a gaming service. Yep. I mean, they're so far ahead.
Word of mouth marketing only works so well.
Of course.
It just doesn't. Yeah. And I know Xbox leaned into that with Game Pass, and they've done a good job with it. And I think that's what a lot of people were doing too with, I think that's what they were kind of planning on. It was people watching these YouTube streams and then being able to, click on their whatever it was to take them to the Stadia store.
Yep.
And then they were like, what the fuck is Stadia?
Right.
Nobody has any idea or any clue. It's like, what does this mean? They click on it. They're like, what?
And when it launched, wasn't it that you couldn't even go to a search function? This is Google Stadia. Was you couldn't even search? Like,
I mean,
half the features that they promised were missing, but you could do the base. I mean, it was like crazy.
I mean, you had everything there.
Yeah,
but you just couldn't. You couldn't wait for results.
I mean, I've kind of high level mentioned. I don't get into details, but I'm in application development and infrastructure and stuff, and just as we're talking through this and thinking of what they have in place and how you can't make it work, it's just mind-boggling to me. It's like, anyone who is trying to enter the gaming industry nowadays, the gaming industry, massive, but there are key players, right? And it's hard to get that new audience. But if you had bet, now take Google's reputation of everything we talked about off the table, forget their past failures, right? If you were just looking at what people have in terms of infrastructure and capability, if you would have looked at Google, you've been like, shit, they're number one. They can reach 6 billion people by tomorrow, right? Just between all of their functions. They reached 15. They didn't really come close. I don't know how you do that, but anyway, we could joke about this forever, but it is baffling. I do wish, and sincerely, I did see people at Xbox and people at Sony Santa Monica and people at different places reach out saying, hey, devs, if you need work,
that's the good news. With all the health of the industry, there's plenty of opportunities.
Plenty of positions.
I mean, Microsoft's got 500 positions right now open. I mean, they're looking for something crazy.
Yeah, 483, I think it was. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you got nearly 5,000 devs already. You're looking for 500 more people? Lord.
That's good.
Yeah, so I mean, I wish them the best, and I wish I really sincerely, I know we joked about Jade too, but wish her the best, and I hope all these people land, somewhere where they can actually have an impact with proper support, because any of us that work in any job, you can't really be successful without support. It's a fact of the matter, no matter what industry you're in. So anyway, let's go a couple quick game updates, guys, and we'll talk about what we've been playing. So a few things that came out this week. So Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, two of the most anticipated games from Blizzard, of course, in their earnings call, part of the whole fiscal reporting thing, it was mentioned that they don't expect either of these games, Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, to launch in 2021. So for people hoping or thinking that, these games are coming anytime soon based on what we're seeing, no. This is Blizzard. Blizzard takes a long time to make their games. I am kind of surprised, though, guys, that not Diablo. Diablo takes forever. It's always those games take forever. But I am surprised at Overwatch 2, because it feels like that Overwatch, the core foundation of Overwatch, you're going to have to keep, because there's a whole pro league around it, tens of millions of players. You can't just fundamentally throw that out the window, right? So if you're keeping that multiplayer foundation and you're adding the story elements for the characters and stuff, they announced this, it's got to be 2 years ago at least. It's been a while since they announced this.
2018, late 2018,
Yes, it's got to be, right? Early 2019, something like that. I haven't looked, but I am surprised it's taking this long for a studio that's that big. It has that much funding to kind of create that 1.5 version of an existing IP. Seems weird to me. Yeah, any comments? Sorry, I was going to jump to the other news. Any thoughts on those two games, guys?
I mean, I'm good with Diablo 4, right? You're going to take your time on that.
Yeah, take your time. Just get it right. Don't launch Diablo 3 me, please.
Yeah. I mean, I don't with Overwatch 2, man, like it's weird that it hasn't, we haven't had any more information until
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, nothing. So, do your thing, I guess. People, that's a very, dedicated fan base as well. Yes. So, I know Benji, we've mentioned him several times. Yes. He's a huge Overwatch guy. So it's what it is, with Blizzard and Activision and them over there. So get it out there. I'd like to see, when that first was announced, I really thought it was like a single player game with some multiplayer components, and Overwatch. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, I was severely disappointed. It's not because I didn't like the game. I thought it was really well done.
It's not your type of game.
Right. Yeah. I was hoping for some cool single player stuff, because it looked like, oh man, you got all these different characters and they're all super unique, but I get it, and it's done extremely well. And the leagues, like you said, are, probably rolling in the dough.
Now, people forget that the pro esports arena in Vegas was built by Blizzard for Overwatch. It's used for other things, of course, but primarily it was built for Overwatch.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah, crazy. A couple other updates. So this came out of freaking left field. Is Stubbs the Zombie? I don't know how many people remember that game, but Stubbs the Zombie. It's an original Xbox game. Big sense of humor. Kind of one of those funny. Got a lot of those back then, didn't we? Those kind of third person, half cartoony, funny games. That's supposedly being remastered by a small studio. I think it's Aspire Studio. And that's coming. It was leaked on True Achievements. We have it on our site as well on March 16th. So about a month from now, that's going to come out for Xbox consoles. So that's something. Dan, I know you mentioned it earlier, but Judgment, the kind of Yakuza off story or side story, is being remastered and coming out on April 23rd. And it's for the first time ever going to land on Xbox consoles, which, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the Yakuza saga that's now on Xbox Game Pass, Like a Dragon and Judgment, is that everything for Yakuza outside? Didn't they have like a PSP game or something? But I think overwhelmingly that's kind of all of it.
I'm trying to remember right off the top of my head. There's a Japanese game, I think it's like Yakuza Ishin or something like that. That's never been brought over to the West. Okay. It's those characters in like a samurai setting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I think, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't done a whole lot of research, but yeah, that's all of them. They were all published by Sega.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think and we talked about that actually on an episode. I wonder if Judgment's going to be coming. So here it is.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Here it is. It's fun. I think we just mentioned that last week, and then sure enough, the news came out. Like, oh, here it comes.
I'm ready for it, man. I'll be buying that one too.
And then the show. Sorry,
I said no free upgrade, unfortunately, for like the PS4 version to the PS4.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. It's a separate SKU. Yeah.
Yep.
And then finally the show, MLB the Show. It was talked about when they redid the license. This was going to be coming to Xbox in the future. We obviously now have confirmation that it's coming to PlayStation and Xbox this year. It's going to be 50. It's Sony published on Xbox consoles, and because it's Sony published, they're determining the price. So for the next gen version, the Series X or S version, it is going to be $70, not $60, like the rest of the games on Xbox. But that's coming April 20th as well. And for what it's worth, anyone listening who's a regular listener of the show, we're trying to actually create an MLB The Show league among people online. So I think we've got like 6 or 7 people. We're each picking a team, and we're going to put a league together. So if you're interested, hit us up. You know where to find us. But guys, across these games, Pong, anything to add on any of these games, man?
No, man. Good to see baseball get to Xbox. I mean, we've had RBI and whatever else and that kind of stuff. I'm not even a baseball fan, but I've always loved baseball games.
Same thing.
Yep. So I'm excited. I think it'll be cool, and especially with crossplay and stuff, it should be fantastic. And like you said, a lot of people are already talking about leagues. So for the community, that's great, man. I'm down for it. So yeah, good to see it. And obviously with Yakuza, big Yakuza fan. Got to find time for them now that the remasters are out and stuff, but happy to see Judgment come. A lot of this is the fruits of Phil going over there all those times in the previous years that he talked about, and developing those relationships to bring some of these Japanese titles, which was severely lacking for Xbox and still is to a certain degree, but it's nice to finally see this complete Series B here and be on Xbox. It's a huge moment, and I hope people give them a chance and give them a try because they are well worth it if you can get into them.
Yeah. I think Dan completely agrees with you. See, Dan, all the questions on the guest thing are not just about Halo and Mass Effect 1.
I thank God, because this would be boring as hell. But no, I mean, and to your point, Paul, we need people to support these games like Judgment, because I want to see more of them. Right. I get angry about it because I see people saying, "Hey, we got all these Japanese games. Look at Phil Spencer," but then nobody plays them.
Right.
Eventually, it's going to get to the point where it's just going to be like, "Why am I wasting my time going over and getting these things?" Options are great, but also, it costs me, this much money to make this deal, and we've got, 3 people that actually finished Yakuza 0 on Xbox, and Stadia, it's on Game Pass. Okay, that's what bothers me the most. It's not. I just want people to play because I want more of this stuff to come over. I want to see, some more
Persona.
We got Dragon Quest 11, or Persona, right?
Yes. We need the Atlas games. Stuff. They're being stubborn. We need to force them here.
Right. I really thought yesterday we'd see Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. So did I.
Finally come to the Xbox, and there's still a chance, I guess, but that's not a game that, I would jump into, but I'd like to try it out.
Yeah.
I guess I could on the PlayStation if I wanted to.
Especially now that it's coming to PS5 or being upgraded.
I might be jumping onto that just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Because I had a good time with like ESO when I played it and stuff like that. So, I just want people to support these games when they come, especially when they're on Game Pass.
Yes.
Because
try them.
Just try them out.
Get the engagement
numbers up so we can see more and more of these. And then, I like what we're seeing with Judgment coming. I love it. So more power to them. Keep going.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So funny enough, I told you, Dan, obviously we talked about it, Like a Dragon. I loved, but I really am biased towards the turn-based. I really like the turn-based and the skills. And I don't know if you saw, Dan, I actually ran a poll, or we ran a poll, Season Gaming. We didn't get a ton of votes, but I basically asked real-time or turn-based for Yakuza, and it was funny enough, it was nearly split. 55% for real time, 44% for turn based.
I voted turn-based, so I was one of them on there.
Yeah, I really like it.
I love it. I can't believe I loved it because I was kind of worried about it when they said they were going turn-based.
Dan was the same
But after
way.
playing it, man, it
Right.
fits right in.
I think either one of them would work fine, depending on what. I think they'll go
I've said they could
turn-based.
split that series and just keep going, one turn-based and one action style, and have the storyline separate. That's fine. I think that it's awesome.
Yeah, I love the jobs, and they took the good parts of Japanese role-playing games, but still had that kind of quirky humor and upgrading and other stuff. So it's cool. Pampa in the house, $5 super chat. Thank you, $5 Pampa. Cheers to great gents and a great show. Rating is 7 out of 7. It's the best it gets, man. Best it gets. That's our new rating scale.
Nice.
I need to redo my Valhalla one then, because it's way off.
By the way, if Diego's still listening, he hasn't sent me the image for your shirt yet.
Oh, I'll talk to him.
Yeah, talk to him because we need to get that up on the store for sure.
Yeah.
So open conversation, guys. So Pong, what you been playing? What you been up to? Anything? Open chat, man. You want to rant about something? Go for it. You want to talk about some games? Go for it. What you been up to?
Let's see. I've been playing the medium.
Okay.
So I'm probably about 80% through. Did it. Reviewed it on one of Boom's shows, his one-on-one show. So loved it. I think it's a game that everybody's got to try. Again, it being on Game Pass, try it. I'm not a horror fan. Like, there are some I can get through, but like Resident Evil 7, I just can't do that. So I've got that cowardly streak in certain things, but in certain aspects I don't. I can play through these types of games. A lot of nostalgia. It brought me back to the original Resident Evil, the original, Alone in the Dark, and obviously some Silent Hill in there as well. I like the static camera. I loved the feel of it. Even the tank controls are a little bit tighter than the old days, so it was fine. It took me a while to get used to again, but it was fine. But the story, the writing, the acting, absolutely top notch. And I'm so happy for Bloober Team. And I hope, again, talking about Ascending Studios, this is another one of those Ascending Studios that obviously is perfecting their craft. Each game gets a little bit better, and I think with some real backing, if Microsoft were to acquire them, it'd be fantastic. So I've been playing through that. Nice. A lot of Master Chief Collection.
Yes, now we're talking.
Community nights. We just had one last night after the Xbox Ultimate show. So, or was up till 2:00 in the morning playing Master Chief Collection. So, nice. That's
shit, man. I got to get in on that with you.
Yeah, you should jump over, man. We're always on Friday nights. So after the show. Yeah, absolutely, we will. So do that. What else? Jump back into Division 2 and actually Breakpoint. So with the updates, actually pleasantly surprised. I put a lot of time into Division 2. Yeah. Back in the day, a while ago, and then got off of it and just kind of was done with it. But to jump back in and to, get together with a couple people and play through some stuff again, really impressive. I got to give props to Ubisoft for going back and supporting some of their older games and allowing the devs to do this. I know it probably wasn't a whole lot of time, and that's probably why they went ahead and did it. But there's a lot of companies out there that aren't doing anything for next gen. But these games are beautiful, absolutely stunning. Breakpoint, crazy how different it is from when it first launched. I'm a Tom Clancy fan. I like playing through them. Liked Wildlands a lot. Breakpoint was just it wasn't up to par when it launched. Dan
reviewed it for us.
So but they put a lot of time and effort into this game, and they keep putting more. I mean, they've just added a bunch of new skills. The skill levels are now up through 20 instead of 10, so that they've added a ton of stuff. And with the updates to the graphically and the frames, really incredible looking when you're walking through. So nice. Tried those out again too. And then of course my smattering of a million other games. I me, Cyberpunk here and there. I'm still plugging away there, and I got to jump back into that full time and get through my first playthrough because I love it. Just tried to branch out a little bit and not get so focused on Cyberpunk. So
gotcha. Gaming Gentleman said the tall vampire lady's coming for you.
Yeah. And I will try it. I will try it. Again, I love the Resident Evil style and I love vampires, so I will be there trying it, and hopefully this one isn't as bad as 7.
Yeah, Dan, you stepped away real briefly, but Pong said that he's finishing up medium, but he sounded just like you. Basically, he couldn't get through Resident Evil 7. It's just too much, and Dan's almost the same way.
There's a balance, that me as a fat person needs to find. I drink a lot of Diet Cokes, but I also eat a lot of Butterfingers. So, balance, right? And then if I want to play a game, I'm not going to put my heart at risk for for a video game, as good as it may be, and I'm not going to take anything away from it. Like the medium was about my speed, like as much as I could tolerate, So that was it for me. Like even Blair Witch was too much when I played it. I was like, no.
You never got to the kind of end that I've talked about with Blair Witch, did you?
No. I got like 2 hours through maybe, and you have to understand my 2 hours. Is a much longer 2 hours than, because I am like inching forward. Like, I am the slowest person.
So like me on a normal day.
Yeah. I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, okay, this is going to take, and not because I'm looking for stuff.
Yeah.
Like you, where you're just like, I got to find every item. No, I'm literally like,
so if I send the guys at RKG, who I support and I talk about often, they did a Halloween special last year where they played through Blair Witch beginning to end in one stream, the three of them, dressed up in Halloween characters, just for fun, a lot of laughs. If I sent that link to you, would you watch just the final hour to see the game?
I'll look it up. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to send me a link. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just it's like a 6.5 hour stream. So just fast forward to where they get till they get to the house.
Okay,
and just watch that, because I just feel there's so many people that either didn't play Blair Witch or they played like you a couple hours, and like I said, the beginning of that game is slow in the woods. That the last hour and a half of that game is just so freaking fantastic, and it's just. It blows your mind. It's crazy. So I just want more people to experience it. Sure. Then, but despite that, what you've actually been playing?
I've been playing so much crap. Madden, we kind of talked about.
No, we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm done with it. That's really, like, I had some issues with Xbox yesterday.
Okay.
But that was due to me being the Alpha Skip Ahead program, and it really did a number on it.
Like, I thought you said you were getting out of that because you keep having issues with that shit.
Well, I did, and then I got back into it for some reason, and then I don't know what the hell was going on. But anyway, I got out of it again because what happened was I would turn my Xbox on. It wouldn't show up on my TV. Like, it wouldn't even register that it was on. And then eventually I would press the Xbox button, and all of a sudden it would pop up. Well, then nothing else worked on the controller except for the Xbox button. No directional pads, no buttons and everything. I'm like, what in the hell? My Xbox is dying. Oh, please, God, no. And then I looked it up on the insider forums on Reddit, and it looked like it was a known issue. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll just have to reset it. Done. Haven't had any issues since, thank God. So I thought maybe because I've been on PlayStation a lot lately because I reviewed Hitman there. And so I was worried that, like, I wasn't, giving enough love to my tower of power. So
the pop collar.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little worried about it. So I've been playing that and playing Hitman 3 a lot still because it's just been, I've been trying to level up and get these challenges done and try to do a bunch of these escalations and unlock new stuff and do all this stuff. They just released their new roadmap. Yeah. So they had a couple new escalations in there which are super hard, but they're very, very fun to play. I've been playing a bunch of stuff, really. I mean, I tried Destruction All Stars for like 2 minutes. That's a no-go.
Tried what?
Destruction All Stars.
Oh.
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
Ever again.
Hey, Pampa said you did good on RE2 demo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's as much as I could handle.
And that was with me sitting there.
You were there. Bert was on the live stream. There was a lot of things, helping me out. But short of that, man, it's been mostly Hitman for some reason. I don't know why. I'm like, I can't stop playing that game. Because there's so many different things to do, with the escalations, especially, I think, and those definitely aren't for everybody. Those are very specific missions and stuff. I know I've been playing some other stuff, but I just can't. It just isn't popping in my head. I should have wrote it down.
It's all good, man.
Oh, Maneater. Man, that was another one.
Oh,
I tried that.
I have that. Well, I bought it on Xbox like 2 weeks before they announced it for PS Plus, of course. Yeah. So now I have it on both, but I still haven't played it.
Oh, Control. That was the other one.
You went back to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the free, you know, upgraded version or whatever.
Well, you bought 9 versions of it.
Yeah, I've got every version of it now, except for the Switch version and the PC version. So I've got 4 controls. That's it. That was one of my favorite games back in 2019.
Yeah,
it was a great game. I wanted to see what it looked like, you know, with actual steady frame rate, where you can unpause the game and it didn't stutter for like 3 or 4 seconds every single time. It's amazing what these little improvements can do. You know, as far as like the ray trace stuff, I'm never going to see it. I tried it. Looks all right. I just can't do sub 60 FPS anymore. So, I mean,
Mr. Hoity-toity now.
Can't. Right. You've ruined me. And there's like everything I see now that's like 30. Like when I went to Control and tried it on the quality mode or whatever it was, I was like, this is trash. Yeah, I can see. Oh, yeah, look, you can see the reflections in their eyes. Who the hell plays it? You gotta like, put your face up to it to see that kind of stuff. You know, yeah, it looks pretty, you know, from like an overall point of view. You know, and Spider-Man was the same way with like the ray tracing, you know, if you played, but the frame rate making everything so smooth and everything, it just trumps it every single time for me.
Yeah.
And it just screwed up my entire backlog, unless you're going to update it, you know. And I went back, played a little bit of God of War to see that update. I went back, played some Division 2, realized that they added so much stuff since we stopped playing games.
Dude.
I can't even figure out what it's boom. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What is happening? So I tried to get back into it a little bit. Like the controls came back to me, but then there was so much more stuff.
Yeah.
That I was just like, this is crazy. I would have to put another 100 hours into this game just to get back to where I need to be.
Like Destiny 2. That's the problem with those games. If you step away for a while, you come back and it's all, forget it.
Yeah, you got to log on and at least get the Raccoon City stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's free. So, it's been a lot of all these updates.
Yeah, it just makes it.
So I've been trying to just jump around, but it's mostly been Hitman and Control, I would say.
Gotcha. Cool. Ken Hall, good to see you, Ken. Said, just talking about Medium, played on PC with Dolby Atmos surround. Yeah, the sound in the game is incredible. Yeah, truly incredible. It's probably, for me, it's the most memorable game sound design-wise since Hellblade. The more you play through that game, I mean, you'll hear very specific whisper come out of a single speaker, surround aspect. It's crazy. So
play with your earphones, man. It makes it way better. I played that too. So play with your headphones on.
No, not compared to my system, dude.
No, your system is like an $8,000 whatever it is, $20,000. It's insane. Like it's
missing a zero, Dan.
They're humongous. I've seen this thing.
I wish I only paid $8.
Yeah, whatever it is. All right, I have a $150 pair of SteelSeries Xbox headphones. They do 7.1 virtual surround sound, and it's fantastic with Windows Sound.
I know.
Yeah, that's all I need. Play it with that, or if you have $20,000 to $80,000, go buy Ains's setup, and you'll be good to go.
No, but I put it in my review that you need to, good surround sound or a headset. You got to for that game. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
On Hitman 3, so I picked that up. And by the way, I need to mention, Dan, I was looking at my gaming catalog, so that we're all playing a smattering of games and Game Pass and other things. Sure. But the core last 3 games I've bought and played now are Yakuza, which I put a ton of time into. Then I bought Pathless.
Nice.
On your recommendation. I have only played that a little bit. And now I've bought Hitman, and I've beat all the normal missions, right?
Sure.
Which in Hitman doesn't mean a whole lot, but I'm still doing other stuff in and out, which means there's now 3 games in a row that I've bought on your recommendation. I don't know how we got here.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm worried. That's
games.
concerning to me. What I would say, I think you now need to play through the Halo trilogy, the original one.
I played through it.
No, you need to do it again.
On
Master Chief Collection. You owe me something. I don't know what, but you need to play Halo in some form.
I went back to play the first Halo. I played through it on the Master Chief Collection, I think, and then I think I did. I did because it was the one where you can like switch different resolutions and shit.
Yeah,
you can go back
from Anniversary.
Yeah, whatever that was. I played through that one. I didn't play.
You could do that on 2 as well.
Can you? No.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll try it. I don't know. I mean, I never disliked the Halo games, the single player campaign. I just suck so bad at the multiplayer that I just completely forget it even exists. So, yeah.
But Elu says, ironically, Dan's owning 7 copies of Control shows his lack of control.
Yes.
Very
I wonder,
true.
like, I've always wondered, like, which game that I own the most of. I think it's BioShock. No, because Control is 4. It's probably Skyrim, because I think I own that on 18 different systems.
Oh, I know for this household, it's freaking Minecraft.
Yeah, there's that too.
We've bought Minecraft easily 12, 13, 14 times.
Gosh,
I mean,
yeah,
we have multiple copies on 360.
Yep.
Have it on PS3. Multiple copies on Xbox One. Multiple copies on PC. Multiple copies on mobile. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah,
it's insane.
But anyway, Hitman. One thing I wanted to bring up on Hitman is one thing I don't like about it. The gameplay is really fun. I love. Because when I play third-person action games where it has stealth elements, say Assassin's Creed or something, I'm always the guy who wants to play a stealth. I even did in Cyberpunk, right? Did the hacking and kind of hiding until I had to fight. So Hitman's like whole game is like that. Like you know, you're just trying to hide all the time. So I like it. The thing I hate about the way they set up the UI is the UI is set up so like it's one saga. Do you know what I mean? So for someone like you, Dan, where you have all the Hitman stuff.
Right.
Like you talked about. It's cool because then each location is its own little thing and you have all these challenges and everything. For someone like me or those other millions of people that just bought Hitman 3, when I go to the main menu now and you go to locations or whatever, I have to go through all these locations that I don't even know. I can't even play. And I have to get to the ones that are in Hitman 3.
That's for destinations.
Well, yes. If you go to the story tab, it's the same thing. Hitman 1 story, Hitman 2
it'll
story.
It'll show prologue, story. Hitman 1, Hitman 2, Hitman 3.
Yeah, and so there's
like 4 tabs.
Yeah, half of the UI. Half of the UI is stuff I can't even play. It's not even part of the game.
Why would you even click on it? Like literally going over 4 tabs. If you are complaining about that, I don't know what to help you with, man.
No. You're missing the point. Why are you?
Why is it there?
We talk gaming every day, right? If I'm a consumer and I go buy Hitman 3 from a store because it's whatever reason, I buy it, I install it, and I turn on the game, and there's 80 things I can click on that aren't even part of the game I just bought.
Right.
What's the point in that? That's so like only show those things on the main screen if I own them. Like it's ridiculous.
They basically ripped everything from Hitman 2 and put it on the 3.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
You have to understand that IOI basically, they self-published this one. So they did as little as they possibly could. They updated the graphics, which looks awesome. But the UI was probably one of those things where we're just like, we're going to just leave this like
I think you're only furthering my point.
Well, I mean, it's not. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a minor complaint.
Well, it's minor to you because you have everything.
Well, it doesn't matter if I have everything. Like literally, okay, let me give you an example of you complaining.
This would be like having Master Chief Collection and only Halo 4 working. Like,
well, that's Master Chief Collection isn't that though. Master Chief Collection is everything. I understand what you're saying, but listen, I mean, I'm gonna give you an example. Like I watched your controller video, which you guys should go and watch because it's a very, very good video. Okay, and when you held the DS4,
yes,
all right, I've never in my life seen anybody play here on the thumbstick on one side because you complained that your thumbs would hit each other, right? If you use a DS4 like this, like, oh, you hit your thumbstick.
Well, I was saying it comes together, yeah.
Not if you use it like a normal human being. Like you're the only person, like the way you grab a controller, it's like it owes you money.
Okay.
Like you grab it and you like choke hold this thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that would be so uncomfortable if that's how like a person would hold it.
This have to do with the controls UI.
I'm saying the control. No, you're talking about Hitman 3. What I'm saying is it's a minor complaint that only affects you.
No, it doesn't. That's the point. It doesn't only affect. It affects everyone who bought the game.
But they don't have to click on it. That's what I'm saying. It's like yeah, you have all this stuff here, but then you also complain that the Switch is too simple.
The Switch.
The Switch UI.
Well, it is.
It is super simple. Yeah. Well, which one is it? If it's just overcomplicated, there's something in the middle.
I didn't say complicated. I said there's stuff on it I don't own. Why is it there?
Why? So listen, they're trying to get you to buy the shit.
Well, I know that.
What the hell's the problem? I mean, they're just advertising. Then go buy Hitman 2 and 1 because it's
all right, we're done. We're way off track.
I'm just telling you. It's there because
there's the answer. Dan just gave you the answer though. Just go buy 1 and 2 and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, always the solution. This is why Dan has 4 copies of Control.
Correct.
Yes. I mean, it's like, oh, why is this all there? I have to move this thumbstick 3 times to access section 3. That's a crazy complaint to me. That's craziness.
That's
not insane.
Okay. All right.
Go watch this video though, because it's really good.
Oh, thank you. It was I tried to film that video as a 10-minute video. I looked at it when I was done. It was nearly 19 minutes. I was like, Jesus, I talked a lot. What did I do?
I watched it before you even put it up there. I was like, wait, it just popped up on my YouTube feed like 2 days prior. And I was like, oh, let's go watch this. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is really good. Except who the hell holds a controller like that? You know, you got man hands, I guess. You know.
But the point I was making is that, and I think we all agree, is that the DualShock 4 is a much smaller controller than the DualSense, and that because of how small it is, and because the thumbsticks are so close in the middle, that it brings your. All I was saying is it brings your thumbs like this all the way together. I don't actually hold it like this. I mean, come on.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But you did on the video. That's what I'm saying. It was hilarious. I was like, who the hell holds a controller like this? This guy obviously has no idea what he's talking about. But everything else was great.
God. Pong, I'm sorry you had to be guest to witness this.
No, this is great. This is fantastic.
This
is the
grind
essence
our gears.
of the show.
But it's hilarious. I'm just throwing it out there. Listen. You play as you want to. You know, you do what you want to do. Great video. I still think you're weird. But that's
all right. So we a couple other things. I was going to mention PUBG. If you're a PUBG fan and have the Series X or I assume the PS5, it makes a huge difference because you can play at 60 frames, and on a game like PUBG, it's life changing. Played that the other day, got back into it. Fantastic. So missed that. Destruction All Stars. I'm going to try this week with some of the guys in chat and some friends. We'll see. I did play it. I went through the tutorial. To your point, Dan, it was like. It runs smooth, looks good, but it's multiplayer only, and there's like nothing, there's no depth to it. It feels, I joked the other day, it feels like Bleeding Edge with cars. It's like Sony's Bleeding Edge, where it's like it plays well, looks cool, but there's not much for the players there. Yeah. So.
No, that
Can you
was.
imagine had they charged $70 for that?
That's I think someone at Sony finally played it and was like, guys, we can't release this for $70. Like
that's insane.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, let me shout out a few things real quick. So first, thank you for the continued support. I know Jan's joking about the DualSense video. I did just do a DualSense.
Really good.
Thank you. So I did a DualSense video. I tried to be very detailed with it compared to the Series X controller, Elite Series 2, Xbox One, and DualShock 4. And just show the differences, why I think, DualSense is really good, but it's still got some shortcomings. Same with Series X, blah, blah, blah. So that's out there. This past week, we blew past 6,000 subs on YouTube and just continuing to see new subs every day. So thanks again for everyone that stops by and supports the channel. And we have I have another industry perspective chat coming this week, later in the week. So hopefully Wednesday, maybe by Thursday. I won't say who it is yet, but it's someone our community knows and loves. So
how do they hold their controller though?
Well, no, I laugh because, I might as well say who it is now. Because Luke from XCP just came in and said that bit sucks, Boo Joe. Thanks for the $2 super chat. But yes, I am talking to Joseph from the PlayStation Trophy Room as a content creator, and he's going to be my next industry perspective chat, which will air later this week. So thanks, Luke.
Surprise.
that timing was perfect. Yeah. That was not planned, by the way. All right, man. It's been we've actually gone pretty long today, but it's been a hell of a fun show, man. Pong, thanks for coming on, dude. Really good perspective, really good insight and conversation. So appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to have you back. But I know you've been kind of all over the place. I also know, obviously, you're doing another show here shortly because you're part of the Shop podcast now, too, on Saturday evenings with PTK. So, but other than that, of course, why don't you shout out where people can find you and what you're up to?
Absolutely. Thank you again, Dan and Ains. I appreciate you guys so much for having me on again. Watch you guys, love you guys, and this is a fantastic opportunity, and thank you.
It was a good time, man.
And chat, you guys are awesome as always. I see a bunch of my people in there, and I love you all. And obviously, thank you all for coming out and supporting everything that I do and that these guys do. And without that, nobody would be here. So that is always important. So appreciate it. Everybody can find me PongSoul everywhere, Twitter, and obviously on Xbox. And follow me. I'll follow you back. Love talking about gaming. Otherwise, Shop Podcast, as Ain said, every Saturday night with PTK. And then Xbox Ultimate every Friday night with Fun Speculation and Caitlin. So you can find me always there. And then who knows where else you'll see me. I'm always somewhere. And like I said, 2021 has been so crazy. You never know where I'll be next. So,
awesome.
But thank you all again. I appreciate it. Loved it. This was a great show. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. And definitely hit me up for some Master Chief, man. I got to jump in with you guys. So that's my jam. So, Dan, what's going on, man? What do you want to call out?
Not much. Tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern on me and Undead, Nick, Luke, and Joseph. We'll be doing a spoiler cast for Hitman 3. So, if you played through it, come and watch it. We can talk about the menus now and the overclouded or over whatever it is.
That's going to be my next the next video for the channel.
It's going to be
the messy Hitman 3 menu.
And then I'm going to come in with the one after that says, I have no idea. This is the man who complained about the poker in Yakuza to me, that how easy it was to play. Like it freaking matters. It doesn't matter. This minor detail in his thumbstick holding weird claw hands, I'm gonna make a whole video about this. And just go to anyway. Come watch it tonight on Undead's channel. Go follow him on Twitter. He's a good guy, Nick Downey. And we'll talk about some Halo, what we liked, what we didn't like. Ains will be in the chat talking about again the UI. So we're gonna cover everything as much as we can. It's gonna be fun. And Pong, thank you for being on. It's been a pleasure. Awesome time. Hopefully have you on again here shortly, soon, whenever.
Let me know. I'll be here.
That's kind of what I do. It's just like, I'll come join you.
Every week I have to remind Dan we're doing a show.
Whatever works.
All right, guys. Thanks, chat. You've been awesome. Thanks for everyone stopping by. If you're listening later, thank you as well. Like I keep saying, just a great amount of podcast listeners as well lately. So thank you so much. One thing, if you do listen regularly and you'd like to see us on a different podcast format, then we're already out there. We're on SoundCloud and Spotify and all over the place. But if there's something that we're not on, you'd like to see us on, just hit me up on Twitter, hit me up somewhere and let me know, and we can make it happen. So, but thanks again. That was Bitcast 140, and we will see you next Saturday. Peace.